Hi campers, how is everybody doing today?
Hello, welcome to Camp Grace.
Yes.
We're in the beautiful hills here, up where we can come to our wonderful summer camp.
That's right. Beautiful sunny day today as well. So we have a lot going on, so welcome. We have been looking for this camp for a very long time. I love camping, so when I found out I was going camping at Grace, I couldn't pass this up.
I agree, Mark. I'm so excited to be here with all of you, and we have a great schedule going on today and tomorrow. We're gonna go all through that. We also have some wonderful giveaways and some wonderful promotions for the camp that's going on. So stay with us the whole time and get out your notebook because we're gonna give you some checklists and things to go over.
That's right. Let's go over that checklist because if you're gonna go camping, there's a lot of checklists we got to go, and this camping is different. And I went down my checklist, and there's a lot of stuff I was like, that's a great idea to bring. So let's go over that checklist for all you campers. So hopefully you guys are ready. Let's start the camp list and find out if you guys are prepared. Our counselors are being prepared. My name is Mark, Counselor Mark. I'm Head Counselor Mark, and this is...
I'm Jana, and I'm with the Grace Company. I'm also the head counselor here, so you'll see a lot of us as we talk to everybody. We've got a wonderful camp counselors all throughout the show.
That's right, and they're preparing their own activities. So we ask that you come prepared as well. So let's go over that checklist and make sure you guys are all prepared. When you go camping, make sure you have a pair of comfortable clothes.
Yes, because you don't want to do anything uncomfortably.
You don't. So make sure you have a pair of comfortable clothes. Be relaxed. If you're in your pajamas, that's great. You're camping. Be in your pajamas. Go right ahead.
Yeah, and along with that comfortable clothes, you want to wear your funky socks, something that's comfortable. And we may or may not have a contest. So send us a picture of you in your funky socks. Put those comments in the chat, and then we'll maybe be doing a contest about who's got the funkiest socks out there.
That'd be awesome. I can't wait to see those funky socks. Okay, Jan already mentioned it. Your notebook and pen.
Yes.
Make sure you have a notebook and pen because there's a lot of information that our counselors are going to go over, and I'm sure you want to take notes. So write down all your favorite skills that were taught during from all the camp counselors.
And make a note of who the counselors are so that you can watch them in past events or in future events as well.
Yes.
Also, what quilting summer camp would not be complete without a quilting machine? So whether that's a unique machine or your domestic machine, you want to make sure you have that with you at your summer camp.
That's right. And also, a quilting frame. You can't go to quilting camp without a quilting frame. So
Can't live home without it.
Yeah, you can't leave home without it. So make sure you're a quilting frame. And so, I mean, when you walk out your door, bring your frame with you.
Yeah. So next, you're gonna have to need a sleeping bag because this is an overnight camp. We've got 2 fantastic days, so make sure you've got something to sleep on.
That's right. So that is very important. Okay, a blanket. Make sure you bring a blanket. You want to be nice and cozy as you're looking at or listening to these camp counselors. So you never know when you might need it. So make sure you have a blanket.
Yes, and then we're gonna have time by the fire today at the very end. So bring your camp chair so we can sit around the fire. We're gonna talk about s'mores. We're gonna do a lot of fun stuff. So make sure you get your camp chair as well.
That's right. Now, I thought the quilting machine and the quilting frame is going to be pretty much your snacks, but I was wrong. You got to make sure you bring snacks because you want to, I mean, if you're hungry or thirsty during this camp, because there's a lot of stuff. We're going to be going on some hikes around the valley here to get to where your camping site is, so you got to make sure you bring enough snacks.
Yes, and along with that, a good water bottle. Make sure you stay hydrated. Mark's got his water bottle here.
That's right.
Make sure you're staying hydrated, Mark. And we're gonna get going because it's a hot, sunny day. It's July, so you wanna make sure that you have plenty of water with you.
That's right, stay hydrated. Okay, so while we do this, we have a fun-filled activity list. We're gonna go down our agenda, but let's find out where people are coming from. Let's find out, I mean, we may have some campers coming right now, right?
Oh, it looks like we have Noreen Olson from Tampa, Florida. Welcome, Noreen.
We have Nancy from Texas. Welcome, Nancy.
It looks like Kathy from Osaka, Minnesota. Wow, everybody's from all over. It looks like
Sarah's from PA, Pennsylvania.
We got Elizabeth from Colorado.
Kathy from Minnesota.
Wow, so we've got everybody from all over the place. thank you so much for joining us. And we know we're gonna have a great time here at summer camp. As we go over the schedule of everything that's gonna be going today, like we said, make sure you write everything down so you don't miss an opportunity for any of those wonderful events.
That's right. And thank you for joining us. We are very excited. So for all those comments, please continue to bring them in where you're at. I'm glad you're excited, but please continue to share.
Yeah. So one thing we're going to be doing today is we want to know what your favorite camping activity is, because we've got a whole schedule going on, but we want to hear what's your favorite activity? Where have you been camping recently? Throw that in the chat. Let us know where you've been camping, where you've been doing fun stuff this summer so far. What's your plans for this summer, other than, of course, the Grace Summer Camp?
That's right. And have they made a camping quilt?
Oh yes. Have you ever done a camping quilt? I know we made a camping quilt one time, and it was made out of this really thick vinyl kind of thing, so that it was plasticky on the bottom but nice and soft on the top. We had to use pliers to kind of quilt through that one.
That's pretty intense.
Yeah.
Intense, like
Intense.
camping. I see.
Plenty of fun
Yes.
puns as we go along through Grace Summer Camp. So we want to say hello again to Sarah from Louisiana, and also Anita from Jackson Hole. Let's see, Shirley from Georgia. Thank you so much for joining us again. But it looks like Janet has done stitching in a canoe in northern Minnesota.
Awesome. Love to camp in South Fork, Colorado. I fly fish.
Yeah. Donna is camped at Mount Rushmore last week. That is one place I haven't been yet, is Mount Rushmore. I'd love to go there.
Elizabeth, first camping trip this summer will be, oh, it went too fast. So there it is. First camping trip this summer will be in Michigan. So then back to Colorado to enjoy some of our state parks. Love Campfire. Campfires. We're going to have Campfire going. S'mores. What better way to go camping when you have your s'mores?
Yes. Deanna talks about cooking outside. We love that. She's going camping at Lake Murray. I've never been there either. Let us know where that is.
Cooking outside, yeah. Winter in axe quilting.
Oh, and Mary Ann says, I like quilting in my fifth wheel. That's a girl after my own heart, Mary. Quilting, camping is not always on a tent on the ground.
Fifth wheel. Well, and I'm sure we're gonna have some products that we talk about going fifth wheeling with.
Yes, absolutely. So we're gonna get all those schedules happening. So also we have, let's see, Sharon says the EeeeCccHhhOoo trail. Thanks for putting that in the chats, that's hilarious. And then someone says they've also, this is Noreen, she's camped in Alaska. Wow, that's beautiful.
Alaska is wonderful. I've never been up there. I would love to go camping up in Alaska.
Yeah. So let's get into our schedule so you can have that whole list ready to go. So again, get your notepad and your pen out so you can get that list. It's also on the website under the event schedule. You can click on all those and add them to your dashboard so you have that ability. So first, we're gonna do pitching your frame or pitching your tent. And so Jarek and Melinda.
Yeah, and that's down this way, Jenna,
that's
by the way.
down this way?
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody's head
for those who
this
are camping,
way.
that's down this way. It's about a mile hike in. So be prepared. It's about a mile hike in to go to that pitching the cutie.
Excellent. Next, we're gonna have in the first aid tent right over here is the safety first cutting basics with TrueCut with our ambassador Becky. So don't miss out that's gonna be a wonderful segment.
That's right. And then we're going to have the dipping the toe at Echo Lake.
Oh yes.
That's right over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not too far, but that's by a beautiful lake. So head that direction. Get with your counselor. She'll show you the way.
Yes, and Carla and Devin are gonna be doing that echo stitching. So that'll be a great segment. Next, we're gonna have Amanda and Janessa in the arts and craft building, just back here behind you. And we're gonna have a tutorial on how to do pantograph, which is not your grandma's arts and crafts, so be prepared for that one. Yeah.
That's right. Then over this way, about another hike, about a mile hike again. Wow, these are pretty good hikes. A segment on ruler work by our ambassador Lizzie Allen. So this way, about a mile in, you'll find that one.
And then back here for the quilting horror stories with Janessa, Maddie, and Courtney. They're gonna be talking about quilting horror stories. It's gonna be around the campfire. So bring your chairs, bring your flashlight to get that good horror story going.
And bring some of your stories too. I'm excited. Bring some stories up on the chat. Like, what story do you like to tell when you go camping? Because I'm a storyteller And I want to hear some of yours, because
Yes.
I might incorporate that with my kids.
Yes. And then finally, our last segment of the day, we'll be back here with Mark and I. As we end our segment, we're gonna do some giveaways. We're gonna talk about all the things we've talked about. We'll do some question and answers. We'll also be talking about some of our promotions, which we want to talk about today, all the wonderful things that we have on sale right now.
Ooh, yes. We have a lot. We have a lot. You can't go camping if there's not a sale going on.
Exactly.
So
first we're gonna start out, we wanna talk about our Cutie Frame. Again, when we talk about going camping with your fifth wheel, the Cutie is a fantastic thing to take with you. It can go in any car pretty much, or your fifth wheel or your truck.
Yes.
Put your domestic machine on it, or take your Unique. It's the best price we have ever had. We couldn't have a summer camp with fantastic pricing.
No, it is $5.89. Now, when we talked about one of our checklists was bring your frame with you. This is the frame. This is the Cutie Frame that you can take with you as you go camping, just like you said in your fifth wheel. So bring the Cutie Frame, $5.89, phenomenal price, never been that low. So if you've been thinking again on upgrading what you have or transitioning to a different way of quilting, the Cutie is the way to do it.
Well, and even if you have a long arm, you can't take your long arm with you to the camp or quilt or on your fifth wheels, but the Cutie will travel with you to your guild meetings all over the place. So have a chance to look at that as well. Next, we want to talk about another great product. We're talking about our Sure Stitches, both the regular Sure Stitch and the Sure Stitch Elite. This month, they are on special for 25% off. So the regular Sure Stitch is gonna be $449.96, and the Sure Stitch Elite is $674.96. Fantastic pricing. Again, you can't pass it up.
No.
You've got to take advantage of it. And if you have that domestic machine and you're not sure if it matches, right, if they're compatible, you can go to our website, graceframe.com. And again, all these specials are on graceframe.com. And you can check it out and see on the list if your machine is compatible, or you can chat with us, with the sales team, and we can let you know if your machine is compatible. But you don't need them with the Unique machine, only if you're using a domestic.
That's right. Our 21R.
The 21R, one of my favorites.
What? And you see it right there, it is our blowout sale.
Supplies are limited, yes.
That's right. $47.99. Normally it is $8,000. You get a long arm. So you've been thinking about getting a bigger machine? Now's the time to do it. $47.99. So another great camp sale.
Another fantastic camp sale, yes. Also, so just so you know, on the 21, it's only compatible on the Continuum 2 frame. So if you're looking at wanting to do a Cutie with the 21, you'd have to do it on the Continuum. So make sure you've got that before you purchase that.
Yes.
And then we're also going to be having a fantastic special on our 15 Pro.
Yes.
So this is a fantastic model. It's that next step after you've got your domestic. It fits on all our quilting frames. It sits on the Continuum, the Cutie, the Q-Zone. Fantastic price, over $1,000 off at $39.89, and it comes with a free accessory pack.
Yes, it does.
So in that accessory pack is your ruler base, your hopping feet, some quilt clips, bobbins, a bunch of other things.
Needles.
So yeah, it's all set so that you can get started right away with quilting with that 15 Pro.
That's right. And then we have other frames. So look on our site, we have also the Q-Zone Hoop and our Continuum, or our Q-Zone Queen. So the Q-Zone Hoop is $989. Normally it's $1,700.
That is so amazing. Just the best prices. And you'll notice as we're putting up these sites, these images, you can see when these sales end. So most of the sales end by July 17th. And then there's a couple like the Sure Stitch,
yes,
the 15 and the 21. Those will last until supplies are limited. So they can go through the rest of the month. That's
right. And then our Q-Zone Queen. So Q-Zone Queen is a queen size frame. $11.99 is the camp sale, what I'm going to call it.
I love the camp sale.
Yes.
And again, this one's good until July 17th. So don't delay, right? These prices are limited. Don't miss out on them. These amazing prices, right? Again, go to graceframe.com and you can check them all out there, see what's on sale. There's other pieces as well. Don't miss out because we've got a lot of amazing specials going on.
Yes, we do. Okay, So we went over the checklist.
We went on the checklist.
We told all the campers where to go.
We told you where to go. We've talked about the sales.
Check.
Check. What's next?
Well, so we talked about the registration giveaway.
Yes!
Yes.
So today we are giving away for all those people who have pre-registered, and again, it's not too late to pre-register still for the giveaways that we're doing at the end of this segment, or the end of the show today, and then tomorrow our grand prize. So today we're giving away a master cutting collection for all those who have registered on this. This is an amazing deal. So you're getting the True Sharp 2 electric sharpener, the 360 circle cutter, which can do 2 inches to 12-inch circles. Amazing. You might have seen Carla do it on her retro circles quilt segment on Tuesdays with Grace. Also has the 45mm comfort or straight cutter.
Straight cutter.
It's got the 3 rectangle rulers, the 3 square rulers, enough true grips to get you going on all of that, and blades. So it's over a $300 value. This is the prize for today. So we're gonna give away a prize, right?
Yes.
We've got the person. We're gonna do a drum roll. Ready? And drum roll, please.
It's coming. This is the best when you have the camp winners.
I know.
Yeah.
Drum roll, drum roll. Woo! Congratulations,
Pam
Pam.
Lowe. Congratulations. So the master cutting collection is all yours.
So Pam, we have your information, but if you'd like to email melinda@graceframe.com, she can help get you all that information together, where to send it, the address, everything like that. So again, for your pre-registered items, we have 2 more to give away. We have later on today, we'll be giving away a light bar. That's our luminous light bar. It comes in a 5-foot, a 10-foot, or you can get a 2-foot extension to put on that 10-foot to make it a 12-foot. So that will be later on today. So if you still haven't registered, it's not too late.
No.
Continue to register and we'll have that pulled later. And then tomorrow's amazing grand prize giveaway. It's the Quilter Summer Camp Survival Kit.
Look at that. You get the Cutie Frame, you get the travel kit, you get the light bar. So you get everything you need to travel. And that's why the Cutie's in there, because it is a travel frame.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen the TrueCut travel kit or the Cutie, I don't know where you've been, because we've been talking about these. They are fantastic. They have everything that you need to get started other than the machine, right? You add the machine, and the fabric, and then you get going. So that's the prize. It's over $1,800. We're gonna get that added. For all those who have pre-registered, your name gets put into the drawing. You still have a chance to register. That's the end of tomorrow, or the end of our whole summer camp. So don't miss out. We're gonna have that as well. So make sure that you're going and telling all your friends to register, or not tell your friends because you don't wanna give up your option to win. But
yeah.
But yeah, you wanna have that opportunity to have everybody come and be a part of that.
That's right. Okay, so checklist again. Pre-register giveaway, perfect, cutting collection. Now we have a fun-filled activities we already went over. But again, let's go back to the whole camping theme, because I love camping. As you see, we're in the nice, beautiful.
Watch out for those mosquitoes.
Yeah, sorry. Those mosquitoes will get you every time. So just watch out for those. But since we're in this beautiful area, camping is a great way to bring your family, go camping. So again, let's see where those people love to go camping. And if there's any other questions that we could help as we go along with our agenda.
That's right. If there's anything on the schedule you have questions on, how can you watch it again? I did see someone ask if they missed a segment today, can they go back and record it? They are able to, just make sure you have it on your schedule, and then you can watch it again later.
That's right.
So don't worry, you won't miss out on anything. You'll be all set.
That's right. Now with the schedule too, I would like to know what segment they're looking most forward to.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. We're also gonna do a small prize giveaway. So I'm gonna grab our spinning wheel here really quick.
Giveaways, we love giveaways. I mean, you can't go camping without all the giveaways, right? Here at Camp Grace, that's what we want to do, is all these giveaways. All right.
So let's have everybody again. Mark said put in which segment you're looking forward to first, and then we'll randomly draw a winner from our Grace site, one from Facebook, and one from YouTube to win a prize.
That's right. I'm excited to hear what these campers are excited for.
So we have one person said that their favorite segment is the spin the wheel segment.
Oh,
that's not
there
a
you
bad
go.
segment.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have dip a toe. Sharon says dip a toe. Automation. Okay.
Pantographs.
Ruler work.
Stacy says all of them. Yeah.
Of course,
Well,
right?
of course.
All of them.
Who doesn't want to come to Servant Camp with all this stuff?
Panto segment. A lot of panto, right? Ruler work. Ruler work and pantos are looks like the top two.
We have
Excited about them all. Ruler
pitching
work.
your tent. The whole quilt show.
Echo Lake. Yep. Remember, Echo Lake is this way too. For those who want to go Echo Lake, that's that way over there.
And then we've got, again, pantographs, more pantographs. Oh, the
Yep,
cuties.
The cutie. Yes. I can't wait for the cutie one as well. There it is. Yep, just right down that way. That's where we're going to go. See the beautiful dock?
Oh, I like Tanya's comment. Mosquitoes are our state bird in Alaska. So
Oh, they are? Well, sorry. I don't mean to. I'm trying not to hit them. This is me just moving them away. Moving them away.
no death on the Grace
That's right.
Summer Camp.
Use the clipboard. That's why we have the clipboards. Just
That's right.
Move
Just
them.
move them away. So we have Dorothy. She says she loves camping and hopes to get in an RV and take her quilting with her. That's right. You can.
Yep, you will too, Dorothy. By the way, you will.
Okay, so now thank you so much for everybody who
Campfires.
said all the different items. So we're gonna grab a random person. So what are they gonna win first, Mark?
Well, so on this beautiful spin the wheel, there's actually several. So we're just gonna go down the list right here. So they can win a ruler combo. They can win our electric sharpener. They could win our straight cutter, our comfort cutter, our finesse thread 8-pack, another ruler combo, electric sharpener. So there are 4 gifts on here that they can win, from straight cutter to the comfort cutter to the finesse thread, electric sharpener. Okay, are we ready?
We're ready. Let's spin the wheel and see what they're gonna win.
We're not ready yet. My other camp counselor is saying, all right.
Oh, Diane is ready for horror stories.
Horror
Yes.
stories. Diane. I love horror. Yeah, I can't wait for that section too.
Yeah.
You ever do it with the flashlight, by the way, and you put it to your face, right? And you're just telling, anyway, that's what I'm gonna do. That's mine. Okay, here we go. The electric sharpener.
I'm gonna make a note of that.
Yes,
So Diane
write
has
that down.
won the electric sharpener.
Okay, and remember they could also email Melinda at graceframe.com. So for those who are winning, please email Melinda at graceframe.com. She is our other counselor.
Who's gonna be in our next segment
Yes.
about Cutie with Jarek? Yes.
Yep.
Mr. Grace, if you saw that segment.
Yeah, Mr.
Yeah.
Grace. I wasn't there, or else, come on. Just kidding. Okay.
Okay, so our next winner from our other platform is Brenda Nolan, ruler work. Congratulations, Brenda. And we're also looking forward to that ruler work. So let's
Yes.
spin the wheel
Here
for
we
her.
go. And the electric sharpener again.
Ooh, congratulations, Brenda. That's
right.
awesome.
That's one of the great gifts, because if you're going camping, you got to make sure your pencils and pens are ready to go. Let's make sure your blades are all sharp. So the electric sharpener is great.
And the electric sharpener can do how many sizes of blades?
It can do your standard 28, 45, and 60 millimeters.
So 3 different sizes with that tri-wing design. So you have to make sure your blades have that tri-wing design. It has the electricity. Now, it does have to plug in. It doesn't have a battery operated. So if you're going camping, make sure you have a place to plug that in.
That's right. And we get a lot of campers who ask their counselors, does it really work? It does really work. It's a fantastic product. Has the diamond stones top and bottom. So that's the key ingredient as to why the electric sharpener works.
Yeah, and so don't forget, if you've won a prize, to email Melinda at graceframe.com and let her know what you won, and then also your address, and we can get that sent out to you. So now we've got our final winner from the Grace platform, Tamara Brooke. Congratulations. She's excited for the whole thing.
All right, let's go ahead.
Our
The ruler combo.
So congratulations, Tamara. That is going to be the straight ruler combo.
And the ruler combo has the 3 rulers in there, right? It has a 6.5 by 12.5, 3 by 18, and the 6.5 by 24.5.
Yeah, so the 3 different sizes, all the rectangle rulers. We'll also throw in, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna throw in 3 packages of True Grips so that you have those as you're doing the ruler work.
Counselor Janet, I knew you were going to do that.
You knew
That's
it.
what Counselor Janet does. At all these camps, she does that, and that's awesome. So I knew it was going to come.
So congratulations, everybody. Again, if you've won a prize, and anybody else, write down this address, because you might win later today, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just write down melinda@graceframe.com so you can make sure you have that to email her for your address for the prizes you're winning. Remember to use your clipboard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so today, just to go over really quick again, all the amazing things. We had our checklist. Make sure you've got all the things going for your event. We also had our giveaways. We went through all the events that we're doing, so I hope you wrote down all the directions, because we don't want you to get lost.
Yeah, don't get lost. It's a big place here in this mountain.
Yeah, so make sure we've got the pitching your frame with Jarek and Melinda. That's the Cutie Frame. We've got safety first with our ambassador Becky.
Yep.
And then we're also going to be able to do the echo stitching with Carla and Devin.
Yes, and then we have the arts and crafts Pantographs. That's with Amanda and Janessa. Then we're going to have segment on ruler work, and that's Lost in the Woods. So if you get lost in the woods, now you're going to have this is your segment.
This is
to
your
get out,
segment.
right? Then the horror stories, s'mores, quilting stories, all the wonderful stories you want to share. And that's going to come in later. And then we will come back and we'll see how everybody handled their first day of camp, because the first day of camp is pretty long.
Pretty full of stuff, yeah.
A lot of hiking. So when we come back on, we can't wait to hear how well this first camp went and what the counselors have said.
Yeah, and just a reminder, graceframe.com for all the amazing specials that are running right now. Some of them are good only through July 17th. So make sure you're paying attention on that, so if you don't miss out on that special. Others go through the entire month. Again, those are at graceframe.com. Now, if you miss watching any of our events, you can always go back to the Watch Again Live segment in your dashboard, so you can find that. And then also, if you want to follow us on social media, we'd love to have you comment with us, follow all the wonderful things that we're doing. You get to see behind the scenes things from all your camp counselors, all the fun pictures and things that we're doing. And we can be followed on social media at Grace Company Quilting. So make sure you follow us there, and we can get you all set with that.
That's right.
Also, hashtag quilting with Grace, because we want to see all the amazing things you do with Grace Company products. So always hashtag that with us so we can see your quilts. What does your craft room look like? What are you doing with the products? How have you set up your whole system? We want to see that as well.
That's right. Well, Counselor Jana.
Yes, Counselor Mark.
I'm not wearing a hat.
Oh no.
I'm out here in the sun. I
You're
probably
gonna get
should have done some
sunburned.
sunscreen.
We should have had that on the list.
Yes, I should have done some sunscreen. That should have been on my checklist. So I figured that you and I need to get out of the sun, okay? Go grab some water.
Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated. Make sure our counselors are ready, because I know our counselors are being ready on this next one coming up on pitching your frame, which again is down this way.
That mile hike, we got to get going.
That's right. So I think we need to get ready. Let's go make sure everybody's ready on that camp, and let's get out of the sun. What do you say?
That sounds great.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining with us today, and we can't wait to see you more.
Yes. We'll see you later.
Hey campers, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Camp Counselor Jarek, and this is,
Camp Counselor Melinda. How is everybody today?
well, you know what, Melinda? I'm doing fantastic, and I am so happy to be here. Today we have a very awesome frame that you may have all heard of before, and it doesn't really matter exactly which frame you're putting together at home, but today we have the Cutie Frame.
You know, I love this frame. It can go pretty much anywhere. We're going to have a great time. Let's go ahead and get this put together and
let's get it put together.
see how easy it is.
You know, something that's super important, even for the most experienced trail people, is, you know, your map and your guide. So something that I always make sure to take a look at, especially with this frame, you just want to make sure to get it all set up the right way. So I always take a look at the instructions that come with it. So make sure you keep yours right by you. I know some people, you just want to get right into there and start setting it up, but absolutely recommend following your important guides.
All right, so Jarek, what's going to be our first step?
So the first thing that it's going to have us do is assemble the tracks. Now this is what your frame rides on, and they come like this without the plastic in there. So it comes in 4 sections.
The tracks will be inserted just on top of the rail. Quick, simple, easy. The great thing about all of our products is we provide all of the tools necessary to help our Quilter Summer Camp attendees put together their frames quickly and easily. So let's take a look at some of our parts lists. Let's get those out.
None of those camps where they're like, well, here's this entire packing list, make sure you remember all of it, otherwise you're gonna be in trouble. With us, we know we already got everything for you, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yes.
Yeah, Melinda, I was just thinking here, like we're like out in the forest here, and I'm just glad I have this in case something sneaks up on us. It might make like a good, if like something tries to come up on us, just like a thought I just had now, because I was just looking around and being like, whoa, we're really out here.
Well, Jarek, just know, if a bear comes, I will push you down and then run. All right, so let's start getting these rails together.
Yeah, what she's doing here, it's really easy to put together. They just click right in. So there's these parts that have the rubber on the bottom. It goes right here. There's like a little hole on this side, and you just push that down and snap right there.
There
so
you
now
go.
we have both of our rails. And there are 4 plastic pieces. This is what we're gonna attach here. So now we have our screws. They have little flat tops on them. That's what we're gonna use to attach the tracks.
And then we have our little Allen wrenches that are provided to make sure, every screw, anything that you need to put together the Cutie, you have the tool to do it. And then once your Cutie is assembled, do you keep these or toss these?
Oh, you wanna keep them.
Yes. Make sure to keep your tools. Don't throw those away. Get a little, like a Ziploc baggie and label it. That way you know exactly what the tools are going to be for.
What we're gonna do next is we're gonna undo the tracks. This is one thing I didn't undo yet, but we're gonna slide these in before we tighten them all the way down. Now that we got those tracks in, which were like super easy, we are now just going to tighten these screws down all the rest of the way, just a little bit more. Because when you're putting them through, sometimes if they're a little bit misaligned, it won't go all the way through and you'll kind of get stuck halfway through. So that's one thing that we learned. Just make sure to put your tracks in before you tighten them all the way down.
I think the very first time I put together the Cutie Frame, I don't even know how I missed this first step, but I didn't put the tracks in at the very beginning. Got almost all the way to the end, and I was like,
Oh, now
I
you're in
can't
trouble.
get the tracks in. What happened? All right, so everything's tightened up. What's going to be our next step, Jarek?
Well, this is an important part, and you want to really focus on which angles you are putting where, because this is something I personally have assembled wrong, and I know a lot of other people have assembled wrong as well. So just pay attention to where these are going. So on the picture, I'm going to move these over to the side. Okay, so we'll see right here that we have 2 of these fin ones. These are the ones that have the Cutie name on them. Those are gonna go, I like to set these out like this. The angles are facing the inside of the frame here. And then what we're gonna do is there are 2 screws and these line up with here. So we'll go ahead and attach those on each side. And the screws we use for those are these here, there's 20 of them, the small M5 by 8mm screws.
All right, so what will be our next step, Jarek?
We're gonna put on the sidebars.
Now, is there a right or a wrong way to put these side rails on?
Oh, there's definitely a right way to do it. So what you want to do with these ones is you want to put these two front parts away from this back part that has the Cutie logo on it. So we're gonna like put this under here. Melinda,
Jarek.
at summer camp, what did the lake say to the sailboat?
I don't know, Jarek. What did it say?
Nothing. It just waved. So the instructions are telling us we need to put the carriage on and roll it back to forth, making sure that these are properly spaced. So that way it's all squared up. So let's
Okay.
get some of the stuff off the table here.
Well, tell me first, what pieces come as part of the carriage system with this frame?
Well, there's two pieces. There's the bottom carriage, and this is what goes on the frame itself and goes left to right. And then we have the secondary piece, which you're holding right there. This is the top plate. Now, if you have a domestic machine, this is what your machine is going to be going on. If you have a Unique machine, that actually just goes right on top of here because it has its wheels already built in. And these come pre-assembled, so that's one thing you don't have to assemble. It makes it easy.
So what do these stickers, I see a back and a front. How do we know that we've put the carriage on the correct way?
Well, we can look at the instructions, and also we know that the front of the frame is going to be the part of the frame that has the rails on it. So we know our quilting area is going to be up here, and our rails are going to go right here, and we'll add them in a second here. So this one says front, we're going to put this in the front, and the one in the back goes in the back.
All right, perfect. So I think at this point, we probably don't need this top piece.
No, not
right
quite
now.
yet, not quite yet.
Okay, so
But
I'll just
you know
put
what?
that aside.
I think this would be like probably not the best like grill, but like I can see like a grill here. Is that just me? Like, am I just hungry?
No, I could totally see
I think it's like starting to be lunchtime.
probably almost
so,
lunchtime, yeah.
Yeah, I start to like build a little fire in here, just like put some hot dogs. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. We need to get our frame pitched before it starts to rain out.
Yes. All right, so moving along, again, do we need to tighten any of the wheels, or are we good to tighten our screws now?
Yeah, I think this is about the time that we would tighten our screws, because now we've set everything up, we've squared it all off, we know that this is rolling back and forth good. This is when we're going to tighten everything, set it in place. Melinda.
Jarek,
Where did your sister go to summer camp?
Alaska.
Never mind. I'll ask it myself.
Jarek. Jarek, I have a joke for you.
Oh, a joke.
What does the sun drink out of?
I have no idea.
Sunglasses. All right, great. So what's going to be our next step now, Jarek?
Our next step is going to be to put the machine on the frame. And we're just going to put these top here. And like we talked about earlier, there is the front. So we want our handles to be in the front. And now we're going to grab our machine and put it on here. But there's one other important thing that we need to add to here, and that is the clamps. It's going to be in this box that has the clips and all your cords. You're going to look for this bag that looks like this. It's got the machine base clamps. So we've got all of these, and the way that you put these on is when you loosen them, there's this little base that can come down right here, and you just put them right in.
That seems pretty easy.
It's really easy. It slides right in there. Whoa!
Where did that come
What the
from?
heck? That just came out of nowhere, but it is right on top of there the perfect way.
All right.
And then we just slide these in from the sides, lock those down.
Oh, those are kind of hard to push.
They are a little bit. Luckily, you don't need to, I guess, undo them and redo them too many times.
Right.
But once you do it a few times, they do get looser and easier to press down.
All right, perfect. So we're not quite ready to start quilting yet. I know our quilters are certainly excited, you know, to just jump in and get to work on their projects. But what else do we have to do now, Jarek?
Well, now we got to do the rails.
Okay. All right.
Well, Melinda, why don't you show me how to put these together?
All right, so these are super simple. We have our inner bracket, which will slide right into just the end of the rail. So you do want to match up. There are stickers.
The stickers are on the inside here, I believe. On this side, there's a sticker inside. So we have green and we have green. So we're going to slide green to green.
Awesome. And then how do these stay together?
You know, Melinda, that is a really good question. This is something that I actually get asked a lot. You know, there's some set screws in here, and in the instructions, it tells you need to tighten the set screws. So it's important to know the set screws are actually already inside of here. It's not something that's going to be in one of your boxes. They're already going to be inside.
Okay, that's a great tip. Great tip.
You just put that right inside of there, and you're just going to tighten it right down. Those are pretty good.
Oh, good. All right, and then we're going to match up the two other rails. So again, we have our blue sticker on the outside, our blue sticker on the inside. We'll match up the holes. So again, we can go ahead and tighten our set screws.
Ta-da! And these are not coming apart.
No, they're not.
Okay, so our next step is going to be putting on the rails.
All right.
So the rails, they just slide in super easily. They're just going to go. We want the back rail first is what we're going to put in. And that one is going to be the long take-up rail.
Now, what are these little grooves for, Jarek?
Well, those are for knowing what way to put this on. And these little grooves, they actually go and line up with the side pieces right here. They go right in there to keep this lined up.
Okay. Jarek, I still think we need to go up a little bit higher.
Yeah, let's get about like a finger's worth. We'll just put my fingers right there. Right there. Okay. I think. There we go.
Perfect.
Oh, perfect.
All right. I like to wrap these straps up just so they're not dangling and in my way as I'm finishing setting up.
We're almost there. We're almost to the fun part, which is actually
Awesome.
quilting or having it all the way assembled. So our next step is going to be, let's take a look. We're going to attach the side rails to our front rail. Do you want to show us how to do that, Melinda?
I'll do one side, and how about you do the other side?
Sounds good to me. We're just going to look in here and find our little edge pieces right here. So this is what's going to keep our corners together. Melinda,
Jarek.
where did the sheep go to summer camp?
Why would a sheep go to summer?
The Bahamas. I know,
I
I'm a
have
natural.
one for you. I
Really?
have- yes.
Really?
Yes.
Hit me with it.
Where did the cow go to camp?
Where?
New York.
So Melinda, what we want to do before we put this in is we can see that these are a little bit different heights. So we're just going to try to move this up to make sure they're the same sort of height. And a trick for getting these in is making sure these are starting at the same level at the same time. So what I mean by that is the same distance in. So right now we both have these in, because if they're different lengths in, it becomes harder. Here we go. And another thing there, you don't want this clip all the way up. That's what I was doing wrong there. So yep, now just keep putting these all the way through. There we go. Oh, Melinda, I told you wrong. We put it in upside down.
Jarek! That's what you get for playing helicopter with it.
I was having too much fun. Now the reason why we needed to flip that the right way, Melinda, is because there's some measurements right here. And also we want the clips that are gonna hold the fabric to be facing down. So you can see that these come from the bottom instead of the top like we had them there. Because these are gonna come under, and we're actually gonna go get our clips out right now as well.
Okay.
So another thing that we're gonna bust out right here, we're almost there, Melinda. We've been making a really long trek. I'm so glad our campers have been here with us to be with us on this journey of pitching our quilting frame. And we're almost, like, I can see the peak. Like, I'm like hiking and I'm like almost there.
I need some water though.
Yeah, seriously.
Woo! All right. So we have our clips. So I see we have different.
Yeah, there's a few different ones. They are different. So we have our front quilt clips. These are the really long ones. And then we have our back ones. There's 3 of them. They don't have the ridges on them like you see these other ones. And then there's our side clamps, which don't always need to go on there depending on what you're doing, but these go on the side when you have one that reaches the edge. So I'll talk about one thing here, Melinda. So these go on super easy if you know how to put them on. Now the trick to this is, you know, we have square rails here, and that's for a reason. These have ridges on it, and when they turn, they can make it get tighter.
So it's like a ratchet.
Yeah, it's like a ratchet without having a ratchet. So what we're gonna do, I'll show you, these are gonna pop on a lot easier. You don't wanna try to put this directly over.
How would somebody know if they're putting it on the right way though?
Well, luckily we've included some labeling. You just need to make sure that you're reading it. Make sure you have it the right way up. Like, unlike me, I was reading the instructions upside down, which led to some issues. So make sure those are right side up, and it's really easy. You wanna start on one side, and then you just push, and then it'll go right on. And you can see that these ratchet, and we'll show you with an actual quilt. And then when you wanna take it off, don't try to just take it off this larger part. Roll it to the side, and just start it on one side, and the rest of it just pops off super easy.
That looks so easy.
It's incredibly easy.
All right, well, let's get our quilts. Oh, wow. I'm excited for this, Jarek. All right.
There we go. So, Melinda, there are different kinds of frames, and this one is a hoop style frame. So can you help explain to me and our campers here so they can understand and be prepared to pitch their own frame with this style of frame?
Yes, so with the hoop frame, it's involving to shifting your fabric as you complete your zone or ultimately your row. So again, you can hoop on either side. You'll have some fabric hanging over the front. But again, as you're completing your zones, then of course you're going to shift your fabric.
So something that is a thing to know is that we're not actually rolling our quilt onto the bar. We're rolling it on itself. And you can see we already have this rolled here. This is a great way to prepare your quilt, is just have it rolled up at the beginning. And now what we're gonna do is transfer this under. So what we need to do is just get this under the hopping foot here. Just put your hopping foot up and then get this under. And the next step is we just have to clip this out of the way.
So do you think it's easier to clip the bottom rail or the top rail first?
Well, really, it depends on how you're doing it. And for most quilts, especially in this one right here, if we were really starting this, what we'd want to do is do it on the front. And you'd want to have some batting fabric, like a lot of extra, so that way when your throat length we'll be able to reach all the way forward, because you see when we come all the way forward on this frame, we're reaching to about here. So you can only quilt in this area. So you would want this, the bottom of your quilt, to be lined up right here so you could stitch all this area. So that's what we'd really want to be doing, but just for an example today at our camp show, we're just going to kind of do it in the middle here. So like if we were doing like a practice, like some sort of things that we do at shows, there's some practice quilts with designs on it, so you can just practice your free motion. This is a great way to set it up. Just have it kind of right here, have some down here, so that way you can have your whole quilt all tensioned down with the clips, which is what we're going to do next. So let's actually do the back side first. And when you're adjusting it, I like doing the back side first because you can keep track of where you've moved to. So like let's say we quilted this area. When we're moving that down, I can say, or up, usually I go the other way up. This is a little bit reversed from what I do. You're going to want to roll this up and you can line it up well. So let's just get those back quilt clips on. And remember what we said, there's 3 different kinds. We want the ones that don't have the ridges on them. They do have this, that's where the bungee clamp is going to be attached. And you're going to want to put one in the center, and then one on the side, and one on the other side. You gotta take this one. And these, just like the trick I said earlier, make sure the cutie is facing towards you, like you can read it, and then just start on one side. So I'm going to push right here at an angle, and then just follow the rest of that on. And now what we can do when that's on, you can actually pull this a little bit here. You can also ratchet this now to get some more tension here. And now something that's important that people always ask us is on this frame, they're like, oh, that seems kind of loose. Well, really, we're not wanting to be military tight here. We want it a little bit loose. That's the way that this frame works. So this is ideal.
And then we'll put our side clamps, right?
Yes. Last but not least, like you said, side clamps. You can see on my side over here, this is not really reaching all the way over here, and that is perfectly fine because depending on how wide your quilt is, sometimes there's going to be more space on this side, and you'd be using bungee clamps, but typically you'd have more leader cloth on this side, so that would reach all the way over and you can have some good tension on all the sides.
And then what do we do with our roll of fabric?
Now we're going to go back to those handy dandy clips that we had. Yep, and now just take these over the top, clip them on. Now one thing, camp guide tip here that you're going to want to pay attention to is a mistake that I've made, and I know Melinda, I'm sorry to say, but you probably made it too.
Probably.
Is if you let the bungees kind of just hang out here, they can actually get sewn onto your quilt on the top or the bottom. So make sure that you're taking these, and they come with a little clip right here. You can put them through the clip, or something that I also like to do is just put it under, so that way I can see where it is and just know that it's right there out of the way.
All right, so Jarek, we're almost ready to be able to start quilting. There's just one last final adjustment that I want to make, and that has to do with the handles. So I want to pull the handles out just to make sure that it's comfortable for me. I can pull the handles out, I can push them back in, I can rotate the handles, and really it's just a little wing nut, that's can be easily tightened or loosened to make those adjustments. We pin up our fabric on the front rail, so we make sure that we have room and we're not hindering our accessibility to the handles themselves. All right, campers, we're super excited for the next 2 days of our Quilters Summer Camp. Stay tuned in. You're gonna learn lots, and we're super excited to be here and teach you some great things going forward.
I've had so much fun. Whoa, what's going on?
Is it gonna rain?
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Well, hello there, Jana and Jarek. Do you love using your TrueCut cutting products? Great. Well, pack it all up, because we're going on a trip. Looks like a lot of hassle, Jana.
How am I supposed to carry all of this?
Don't forget all your cutting mats. What is this? Where are all your cutting supplies, Jarek? And where did you get such a fashionable bag? Jarek? Oh shoot, where did all your pins go? Aw, how inconvenient. Now you get to play find all the needles before Mark steps on them. Whoopsie daisy. Oh, Jarek, did you drop your pins too? Now you get to play find all the... Wait a minute, there's that bag again. What kind of shenanigans are you up to? Aw, what's the matter, Jana? Do you wish the Grace Company would, I don't know, make a portable cutting kit in the form of a stylish carrying bag that not only has everything you need, but can also travel with you wherever you want? Oh wait, we totally did that. Introducing the TrueCut Travel Kit, the stylish on-the-go cutting companion. The mini home cutting station you can use in your car, at your friend's house, at the park, in a public library probably, while you're waiting in line at the grocery store. Sure, pretty much anywhere you want to take it. Complete with true grips, ruler, pencils, seam ripper, magnetic wristband. Holy cow, that's a lot. Whoa, there's more? Does all that really fit in there? Go from this to this. Built to last and looking good doing it. Travel with the confidence of a true cutter with the new TrueCut Travel Kit.
everybody. Welcome to Grace's Summer Quilt Camp. I am so glad you're here. My name is Becky Thompson and I have the YouTube channel Power Tools with Thread. If you would like somebody to sew with when you're in your sewing room, check out my channel, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and we can spend some time together in the sewing room. I do a little bit of machine embroidery, I do a little bit of quilting, I do a little bit of long arming, I do a little bit of everything. And I've been quilting for about 12 years now, and I just absolutely love it. I was a garment seamstress for years and years, and my love of quilting came about when my first grandchild was on the way. I am in the home stretch of finishing this quilt for all of these chickens right behind me. This is Lori Holt's chicken salad quilt. And I have spent the past several weeks, months, more like, getting all of these chickens stitched out. And the rest of the quilt has 22 additional fabrics that need to be cut into the right size blocks to do all of the borders around the chickens, and then they will all fit together. Since I need to get that done, I thought I'd bring you along with me. If you are interested in making this pattern, I have got a link below to this guide. This guide has been put out by Riley Blake Fabrics for Lori Holt. It was available for free on her blog, and it's also available for free to you. What we're going to cover in the cutting clinic today are cutting ergonomics, why proper cutting techniques are important, and then some tools of the trade. And throughout everything, we're going to talk about safety as well. So first of all, let's talk about cutting ergonomics. Cutting ergonomics is extremely important because it can take upwards of an hour or more, depending on the size of your quilt, to get all the fabrics cut out for it. And when you're going to be on your feet, or if you're going to do it in a sitting position, as the case may be, it can take a lot of toll on your back, your legs, your feet, your shoulders, your arms, everything, your neck. It can take a lot out of you while you're doing your cutting. The general school of thought is that you need to have about 4 inches of space between your elbow at a 90-degree angle and the cutting surface. It's always a good idea to have either thick-soled shoes or be standing on a thick mat of some sort. That's going to give you relief in your back, and you want to make sure when you're cutting that your shoulders aren't up like this. And one way to keep from doing that is read through the entire pattern ahead of time. I know when you first get your fabric and you're going to make your first cut into it, sometimes there's some anxiety because you don't want to mess up your pretty fabric, and you don't want to waste fabric by making wrong cuts. And so you can alleviate a lot of the anxiety and tension that can go into cutting by reading through the pattern first and fully understanding everything that's going to be cut, how it's going to be cut. If there are any fussy cuts, if you've got directional fabric, set those aside. Just kind of think about it and absorb everything ahead of time. And it's like reading a road map to know where you're going and where you're going to turn. It's the exact same idea. Read your instructions, read your pattern, cover to cover. And that way you can make sure that you know what to expect during the cutting process. One of the reasons that cutting is so incredibly important is because if you make your cuts incorrectly on your fabric, I don't care how straight and perfect your seams are, if your block or your strips are not the right size to start with, it's never going to end up right. And if you're making blocks like this one right here, this is from a quilt, this is a work in progress that I have going on called Woodland Wonderland. Let me pull it up close so you can see. If you're making a block like this and your cutting is incorrect, you're never going to get those little points right, and you always want to make sure you've got enough seam allowance around the outsides for that 1/4 inch seam allowance right there on every point. This block could not be made correctly if it didn't have all of the cutting exactly right according to the pattern. If you are a fan of my favorite pattern designer, Elizabeth Hartman, she makes the most adorable, what I like to call picture quilts. Your cutting has got to be spot on in order to be able to get this right and get the effect that you're looking for. So let's talk about some tools of the trade. There are several different types of rotary cutters that are out on the market, and there are many, many different kinds of mats. I love my TrueCut mat from Grace Company. This mat is heavy duty. It's got a really good feel to it. I've been cutting on it now for several weeks, and I can't tell that I have even taken a rotary cutter to it at all. So a lot of times when you cut, you may want to have a mat on a mat. I have one large mat all over my cutting table, and sometimes when you're cutting fabric, you may want to trim off an edge on one side, and then without moving the fabric, because you've got it lined up right where you want, it's easy to just rotate the mat so that now your fabric is in the right orientation to be able to cut it this way as well. That's one of the favorite things I do when I'm cutting fabric. You want it to be easy. The less that you move the fabric on the table, the more accurate your cuts will be. There are many different kinds of rotary cutters that are out on the market. There are straight rotary cutters. This is the TrueCut straight rotary cutter. And then there are also ergonomic rotary cutters. If you have wrist issues or you don't have a lot of hand strength and you want to use the strength in your arm, this might do it for you so that you're not having to use a whole lot of hand strength. The rotary cutters from Grace Company come with a special little button right here down at the bottom, and I'm going to talk to you about that in just a second. Grace Company also makes TrueCut rulers. I love these rulers. You are guaranteed to get straight, even cuts with these. Now, there are certain things that I look for in a ruler when I'm going to purchase one. And the first thing is, can I see through it? You definitely want to be able to see through your rulers so that you can see the lines on the mat and be able to make sure that your lines are accurate and level and even with your mat. And that way you can make sure you're going to get straight cuts. Another thing I look for in a ruler is to make sure that it's got that extra ½ inch. And a lot of times people see that and they're like, why would I need a ½ inch? You can see here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and a half. That extra ½ inch is awesome if you have got to cut strips, 2½ inch strips. Maybe you've got to cut 4½ inch blocks because of the 1/4 inch seam allowance that's needed on each piece that's going to be sewn together. Most quilt blocks are cut with that extra ½ inch, and it just makes it so much easier when you are cutting to be able to look at this solid line right through here to the edge of the fabric versus being able to have to look for a line in the middle between those larger 1 inch increment lines. And that extra ½ inch allows you to do that. Of course, if your pattern doesn't call for the extra ½ inch, then you can turn it around, and the numbers on these Grace rulers are numbered in such a way that you can now see them whole or half coming from either direction. That's really important. Another thing that I really like about these rulers, if you are brand new to cutting, or again, if you have dexterity issues, I want to point out these TrueCut rulers have got a lip on them. There's like an edge on the ruler. See right here, there is an edge to this ruler. And that goes with the little button I was talking about earlier on the rotary cutter. When you first get the rotary cutter and you open it up, this is that extra little ruler guide button that I was telling you about. And you can use the rotary cutter as a standard rotary cutter and not have to use the ruler guide on it if you don't want to. You can just pull the guard back with your thumb and then use it as a regular rotary cutter and just run it right up the side and then close up the guard. You always want to be safe and close up the guard. If you're new to rotary cutting, or maybe you have had problems in the past where it'll take off somewhere and you're like, well, why did that happen? Hey, it happens, okay? One of the things you can do is pop on this guard. Now this guard right here will replace this little button, and it is so easy to do that. You just turn it upside down and just slide this little button right here, and the button will pop off. There, see? Now, look how the blade stayed intact on the rotary cutter. That's because there's a little magnet in here that is holding that blade in place, so you don't have to worry about your blade popping off. I love this. Then you just take the ruler guard button and hold it over it and pop it right on. So simple. And what this does is it has, I don't know if you can see it, it has a channel right there, okay? And that channel fits on the little ridge that we were talking about earlier, and will guarantee that your rotary cutter stays exactly where you want it to. So if you are new to rotary cutting and you're worried about the blade taking off on you, this will solve that problem. It fits right on there. You push it forward and you're never gonna run off and have it take away from you. Whenever I'm going to cut fabric, I like to have multiple sizes of rulers handy and available to me. This is the 6.5 by 24 TrueCut ruler, and I like this one if I'm going to be cutting up some fat quarters. Fat quarters are 18 by 22, so you will have ample ruler length to be able to cut through that full 22 inches. I also like to have the 6.5 by 12, because if you're going to cut up a pre-cut like a layer cake or a set of 10-inch squares, 5-inch squares, whatever you're going to cut, this one will do the trick for you. It's always best to have a ruler that is just slightly larger than the fabric that you're going to be cutting, because if I was to use this on a set of 10-inch squares, sure I could, or even 5-inch squares, I could, but it's a little bit unwieldy. It's just easier to use a ruler that is closer to the size of the fabric that you're going to be cutting. So let's take a look at the pattern and see how I'm supposed to cut my fabrics for my chickens. Right here in the pattern is the fabric cutting guide for the fat quarter. And this little bitty line right down here, this shows me where the selvage is, that little double line. That represents the selvage. So I need to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 by 8.5 inch squares, and I need to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 by 4.5 inch squares, and then another 2, 4.5 by 4.5 inch squares. So let's get ready to cut our fabric. Sometimes you may want to cut the selvage off ahead of time. I'm not going to do that at this time. I want to make sure I've got the orientation of the fabric right so that I get enough squares out of my fabric, because if I cut it wrong, I won't be able to get what I need. I have my selvage facing me, just like in the picture, and I need to make 4.5 by 8.5 inch squares across the top. I've got 2 pieces of fabric here. Since I've got so much to cut, I'm going to do 2 at a time to make it a little bit easier. So I am going to make sure I'm looking at where the selvage is toward me and the selvage is at the bottom of the pattern. I'm going to turn this to the side, and what I need to do is clean up this edge over here. When you're trying to clean up an edge, it's very difficult to do it over here on the far edge of the fabric. So you would want to start to clean up the edge with it over here. And I say over here, I am right-handed, so I will cut from the right side all the time. If you are left-handed, you would want to do this over here and cut from the left side. What I like to do is take the fabric and put it just over a line on the mat and make sure that the edge of the fabric with a line on the mat, it doesn't matter which line, I just want to make sure I've got 2 points of reference, a vertical point of reference over here and a horizontal here. That's going to allow me to just go ahead and put the ruler on the mat, and now I'm going to align one of the straight inch lines on the ruler with an inch line on the mat, and that's going to ensure that my ruler isn't turned one way or the other. So now I know I'm going to have a straight cut right up this side. All I have to do is pull the guard back on my rotary cutter, and then I'm going to take my ruler and start behind the fabric. Your hand placement needs to be well away from the edge. I use my fingers open up here. I'll cut halfway, and then I'll move my hand placement to put it up here, and then cut and finish the rest of the cut. So starting behind the fabric, push straight down. I'm going to move the mat for the camera, and then I'm moving my hand and finish up the cut. Then I have this tiny bit that is waste. As I said earlier, if you can avoid moving your fabric, you should. So now I know my fabric has a perfectly straight line right here. So what I would do now is just rotate the mat so I can cut coming from the other direction. My first cut needs to be an 8.5 inch strip. I'm on the 6 right here. So I'm going to go to 12. That is 6, 7, 8.5. As I said, I'm going to use that extra half inch that is on this ruler. It makes it so much easier. If you need to count them out, then do so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.5. My points of reference are the solid inch line is lined up with the inch line on the mat, and down here on the bottom of the mat. So I am looking to make sure this is going to give me a straight cut. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.5. This is perfect. Another thing I love about these rulers is that they have holes in them for you to be able to grip better. Again, I'm going to start behind the fabric, push it halfway, hold the rotary cutter in place, reposition my hand, and finish the cut, and then slide it away. So now I need to cut 4.5 inch strips. So on the ruler here, I'm going to count over to the 4.5. This tells me on the ruler, if I line up this straight line right here, the 4.5 inch line on the edge of the fabric, and when I cut it, it's going to be a 4.5 inch cut over here. So I'm going to take my 4.5 inch line, and I'm going to line it up top to where I can see the fabric split in half in the little circle that I'm looking through the middle of, top to bottom. I'm going to take my rotary cutter again, start behind the fabric, and push forward. That's a perfect 4.5 inch strip. I'm going to move this, and now I'm going to do another 4.5 inch strip. Now see how this one is in the middle of the inch line here, so it's actually sitting on the 4.5. That's okay. Now I'm going to be using the lines on the ruler to be able to cut my next 4.5 inch strip. So it doesn't matter where the fabric is here on the mat. On these rulers, at the inch mark, there is a little, looks like a window. And you want to see your fabric, the edge of your fabric, right in the middle of that window so that it butts up underneath that 1 inch line. So I'm going to put my ruler so that the 4.5 inch line is right on the edge. I can see half of my fabric through that little window, top to bottom, perfectly. It looks great. I'm going to start from behind and push forward halfway, reposition my hand, and push through. Now on these two 4.5-inch strips, I need to cut 4.5-inch squares. I'm going to take my fabric and place it so all edges of the fabric are just over any given inch line. I don't want to waste too much, but I want to clean up that edge, so I start with a clean edge. Now this one will work best if I have got a shorter ruler, because I can cut easier without having all of the ruler out here. If your ruler wants to take off on you and slide, TrueCut also makes true grips, and these are little silicone donuts that work fabulously. I have got them on the back of my rulers, and my rulers, when you put pressure on them, they don't go anywhere. They will hold fast to the mat, and they will hold your fabric in place so it doesn't take off on you either. I need 4.5-inch cuts. However, this time I'm just going to clean up this edge. I'm going to put one of these horizontal inch lines right here, right on the edge of my fabric, and make sure that it is straight, perpendicular to where I'm going to cut. And my other edge, vertical, is right here, and that will allow me to clean up my edge. Open the guard, make your cut, close your guard. Now I'm going to turn the mat and do my 4.5-inch squares. I want to make sure that my extra 1/2 inch is over here, and I'm going to align the 4.5-inch mark top and bottom so I can see half of my fabric through the little windows, and I've got it straight here on the bottom. Open the guard and do one smooth cut. There we go. And the next one, I'm going to set my 4.5-inch line right on the edge of the fabric. Make sure everything is square. I've got this edge right here for reference and this edge right here. Everything is square. Open the guard. Start behind the fabric. One smooth motion. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. I needed a total of 6 4.5 by 4.5 inch blocks, and that's what I've got. And I need to get 4 4.5 by 8.5 inch blocks here. So I'm going to get my edges as close as possible here and put them over a line just a little bit. I want them both level on any given line here, so I know that they're straight and they're just over, and I'm going to trim up my cutting edge so I get a nice clean cut to start with. And now I need a 4.5 inch cut. I'm just going to do the same thing that I did before and get 4 4.5 inch cuts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. There we go. 2 down, 20 to go. One of the things you may need to do with any of your blocks is to square a block. And this is Penny right here, and she needs to be a 12.5 inch block, just like the rest of the flock. Squaring up a block is really easy with the TrueCut square rulers. This is a 12.5 inch TrueCut square ruler, and this also has that extra little ledge right there that you can use to cut. But what's nice about this one is it's got little indentations on the end so that you can run the track of the ruler guard right in there from top to bottom on all the corners. Now, I don't have any true grips on this yet, and I don't want it to wiggle around on me, so I'm gonna put some on. They come in a package with 15, and you just peel this little donut off, and it'll leave the little middle on the paper, and it's just clear little donut, and one side is sticky. And then you want to take this and put it on the back in any of these center parts. So on the back of the ruler, I'm just going to take the grip and I'm going to put it right in the middle of one of these squares right here. And it's clear, so I can still see through it just fine. I have used these on my rulers for years. They're wonderful. There we go. That ought to hold everything in place. Down here on Penny, I'm going to look to make sure I've got an even amount from the farthest edge of the design, which is the tail of the chick here, over to this edge. So this looks like it is 1 1/4. And over here, I have got a little bit more than 1 1/4, and you just have to also take into consideration this extra 1/2 inch. I'm going to move this a little bit, so there's 1 1/2. And over here to this side is 1 1/2. So now I know that it is correct side to side, and I need to do the same thing top and bottom. We're ready to cut. So I'm going to hold my hand to stabilize the ruler, open the guard, and start behind the fabric and push. Pull this to the side. I'm going to turn my mat. It's very handy to have a rotary mat in this case. I'm going to put it here again. Go off the edge. You don't want to move your ruler once you get this set. That's why it's handy to have a mat on a mat. And there we go. She's all squared up. She looks great. Isn't that perfect? I love it. To change the blade in the TrueCut rotary cutter, it is so incredibly simple. You just flip it over, and there is a little button back here, and you push the button forward, and that will remove and release the little button that holds this on, or if you're using the ruler guide button, it'll release that one, whichever. You take your new blades and open up the package. These are TrueCut blades, and I like to use a little magnet just to grab a hold of it and kind of scooch it off. And then you're going to want to dispose of this safely, sometimes in a used medication container. That will work. You can wrap them up into several layers of aluminum foil and make them so that they're nice and thick and nothing's going to catch on it, or you're not going to cut your hands when you dispose of this. They are incredibly sharp. You want to get another blade. I pick them up, and then I will just slide them without touching the edges and get a hold of one and set it down on the table, and then use the magnet that's in here to properly place the blade into the rotary cutter. If you need to move it around to center it, you can, and then you're just going to take your little button and pop it right back in the middle, and you're in business, ready to go. That was so simple. Okay, campers, that's it. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you got something out of this, and I hope you take a look at the TrueCut system. I really like it. I love the mat. I love the cutters. I love the ease of changing the blades, and I love the rulers because I can see everything that I'm cutting. If you like this video, you want more tips and tricks for quilting and any for machine embroidery, please check out my channel, Power Tools with Thread, on YouTube, and we will talk to you soon. You guys go sew something. Bye.
Good morning, campers.
Hi, campers.
We are so excited to be with you today. I'm Junior Counselor Devin.
I'm Carla.
And we are here at Echo Lake, and Carla's going to teach me all about echoing.
Echo stitching is just a great way to accentuate or emphasize applique or a quilting design, but it also can help you as you're quilting along with a pantograph, get you to a new area where you can grow and expand. Get you out of some jams at times. We're gonna have some drills today, and we're going to practice echo quilting.
I'm so excited. Now, I'm a total novice. I have not done any quilting. Is this gonna be an advanced technique, or is this something that I'm gonna be able to do?
Now, very simple. We're gonna start out very basic, very simple, but I'm gonna challenge Devin, because that's what we're here at camp to learn, is to challenge ourselves and grow as quilters. So, yeah, it's gonna start out easy, but boy, you're in for some hard work. And you know what? By the end, I know Devin's gonna be excited about what he's able to do and how he's able to accomplish that. You know what? He can teach the next segment himself.
Oh, I don't know if I'm there yet, but I'm ready to start. I'm ready to learn.
All right, so let's get started. So I sat down and started thinking about what would it take to start out very basic and very easy.
That's what I need, yes.
We're gonna start out with just straight lines, but not only just the straight lines. So we're gonna go across it, and echo quilting is just a repeat stitch. So we're gonna start out with the straight line here, go across, come back and forth, trying to keep it as even as possible. So how do you keep it even without marking on your quilt? Well, we're gonna use our quilting foot as our guide. So the back and the front are going to space our lines as we're stitching across evenly. So that's
I thought I was gonna need a ruler or something.
No, and not with this one. Echo quilting that's one of the benefits, that you really don't have to mark up your quilt unless you really want to. I'm going to have him do it diagonally as well. And then we're going to change it up just a little bit, okay? Because I'm going to challenge you. Then we're going to start with waves, and we're going to do the waves on a diagonal. And then we're going to jump into a little more complicated design, but Devin's up for the challenge, so let's give him a good workout. So I'm going to just mark on the quilt a square. And this is a blue pen, so sorry about that. Didn't have a lot to work with as I was coming, so you can see that. Square right there.
Whoa, you're so good at freehanding squares, Carla.
I'm trying to be better at freehanding, so there's our diagonal. But we're going to practice first on a piece of paper, because I want him to understand the movements, and I want him to practice control. So I brought some blank paper here.
Okay.
And we'll draw our squares on it. And we'll both practice together, okay? I will let you have this marker here, okay?
Thank you.
And I will use this one here, but there's a way I want you to hold your pen or your marker as you get to the machine, because we don't want to hold it down here, because that's not how we're holding our machine. Okay, we want to hold it up here away from it, because that's where we're standing. We want to practice good posture, but we don't want to be so anal and so tight, okay? But we do want to learn control as we're moving along. So I want you to just start right here on this top line. We'll say that's the ditch line. So you've pieced your square, so we're going to start on the ditch line, and we're just going to stand up. And I'm trying to show you with my camera going down, but I wanted you to keep it straight up and down as possible, because that's how we're standing. Come down a little bit and move back across, trying to keep it as stable as possible, and then just come back and across, trying to keep it as even as you can. Look at how good he's doing.
Well, it's a little rickety, but I'm trying.
But it's not so easy, but it's not that difficult.
You start to get the hang of it a little bit.
Yeah, you do, and so you can go a little faster. And sometimes going a little faster really helps. But we're going to stop right there, because look how good. I'll just show you how well he did. You did a good job.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to take that and we're going to add that element of starting on a diagonal.
Okay.
So with the diagonal, it's a little different. So we're just going to come up, start up with your pen straight, and then move across, and then come down to the diagonal, and we're just going to come down just a little bit on that ditch line, and we want to make it as even as possible, and then we're just going to go back up. Come across, down, come across, whoops, sorry, there, and then we'll get to that corner, and then we'll go diagonal, diagonal, And now we're in the corners, so we want to come across our ditch line to get up out of it, and we want to go up.
This is kind of therapeutic in itself. Just
it's
just
a lot of
drawing
fun.
the lines.
Yeah. Nice job. See, you've got this.
Oh, good.
That's half the battle, okay? Just thinking about it. Okay. Just hold it up and go back and forth and draw back and forth.
So I'm doing this,
Hold
the
it straight
straight
up,
across
yeah, and I'm gonna
first.
pull that out of the
Okay.
way, okay? All right, that's what camp is all about, is learning new techniques and doing them over and over until you get it right. All right, so do you know how to turn the machine on?
I'll need a
I'm
refresher.
gonna show you,
I'm
okay?
novice,
Give you
brand
a
new.
refresher. So
I
we're
cannot
gonna
stress
start
that
up
enough.
here, okay? So I'm gonna show you how to do it, and then I'm gonna let you pull the threads up. So we're gonna insert the needle, and then we're gonna bring it back up, and then we're gonna pull up our bottom thread. Really important, Devin, because we don't want any dangling threads down below. So I'm gonna let you move it up here to this corner, right here, and do it.
So I'm just touching
Using
that.
this button here, insert it, hold on to this thread here. Yeah, so you'll have to swap hands there. There you go. And then push it one more time. As you're holding onto this thread, pull the machine away and see how it pulls that tail up. It's pulling that tail up. We're gonna grab that tail and then we're gonna move back, okay? So now, to anchor the stitch, we're gonna do a couple single stitches to anchor it. And I don't know if I've ever shown you guys really how to anchor your stitches as you're free motion quilting. On the automation, it automatically does it. It's called a tie-off stitch, okay? So we want to move our needle right over here to where it's pulled up. That little mark right there. And then you're going to do a couple stitches, okay? Just really close. And that anchors it, okay?
Great.
Now, to turn it on, you just push this button here, the big button there, and then you have to hold it down and start moving across.
I'm just following.
Yeah, just follow the lines that you drew. There you go. Now, use your foot as your guide. This time we're using our foot, not our lines, okay?
Okay. Oh, okay.
So
you
come
have
down.
the bottom of the foot kind of go on the line.
Right. Or the back of the foot running across the back. And
So remind me, why is it called an echo stitch? What are we
because
echoing?
it's a repeat stitch, okay? So when you're echoing, you get that vibration of that echo, and it's a repeat stitch. There you go. Yeah. So you're just going to use your foot right there. Okay. Okay. And then turn it off right there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pull our threads forward and cut it, okay? So pull it to make a tail. Actually, I'm going to give it a little tail right there, okay? Pull it, and now we're going to pull it back, and you're going to insert the needle one more time. And you're going to hold on to it, and we're going to pull that thread up, and then we're going to get our nifty little scissors here and cut our threads.
I did it.
Yes, you did.
Am I an echo stitcher now?
Yes,
officially?
you are. Okay. So now we're
That
going to
simple.
refine his technique a little bit more, okay? I want you to use the foot a little bit more rather than the lines, okay? So when you're echo stitching, I'm just going to show you right here. I'm just going to do another one just show you how to use your foot. So I want the back of my foot to run
back.
along the line here, okay?
I was using the bottom,
Right,
which
yeah.
is why it was
So-
now ending up between all my lines.
Yeah, so just use the back of your foot. That's why I wanted to show you. Run
Oh,
across.
yes.
Okay,
Much better.
now we're going to come down just a little bit till the back of my foot, and then we're just going to go back and forth. It puts them a little closer together, but it makes it a little more even as we go. And you'll just go back and forth as you're quilting. Okay? You'll just pull the bottom thread up, really important.
And kind of pull that out.
Yeah, he's got it.
And then how far am I? Oh. I
That's
lost
okay.
it.
Yeah, you lost it, but that's because it's hooked to the bobbin, and that's why. Okay, so now, don't try to be too anal about this going diagonal. Just come straight down. Yeah, and don't worry about it. Just, yeah, go straight up. Diagonals are tough. It takes a little work and a little more control on your quilt. That's why I wanted you to try them and do them. Nice job.
Thanks. Trying really hard to follow the back of the foot.
Yeah, so make sure that the back of the foot is hitting that line, okay? Now come up and yeah, so come back just a little bit. Now go up this direction. And now come down, now hit the back of the foot, hit it.
It's a real skill. It's a real
right.
thing you have to practice and work on.
Right,
Okay.
turn that off and we're ready to go to our next one.
I'm almost doing the waves,
yes,
just naturally,
you are.
right?
And that leads us
I'm
right
skipping
into
to the next step,
waves.
everybody. That's what we're doing
we're
here.
just going to do another little box. It's okay. All right. Okay. I'm just leading us to it. Okay. So there. All right. Here you go. All right. Okay.
Do I need the marker? No, marker.
You can try it without. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So now we're going to throw a little bit more of a monkey wrench, but the waving lines are a little easier to do because it's hard to keep them nice and straight, okay? But we'll see if they are or if they're a little bit more of a challenge to get
Okay.
the waves nice and even. Okay.
You're right.
So I'm going to challenge Devin to go across without marking it at all. Don't do these little tiny bumps
Just
because
little-
you kind of,
I'm
as
doing
you're
that anyway,
echoing,
right?
if you do tiny, tiny, tiny little bumps as the waves, you'll lose it and it'll start to flatten out and become even.
So something I noticed too is as I'm doing this, I feel like the more confident I am, the more precise the line is. If I'm really getting nervous, that's when I start to
and
get
you're
bumpy.
holding on to it
Yeah.
so tight that
So
it
you
starts to
kinda-
become really shaky. So loosen up,
Just release your inhibitions.
take a deep
just
breath, and
let it
enjoy
happen.
the process. And just keep practicing, and you will get more and more confident in your stitching abilities. All right, just right along that ditch line to the next one, and we'll just go all the way across, and we'll start here, going from the bottom to the top. We'll
Just
really
waves
work
again?
at, yeah, we're gonna do the waves.
Okay.
So you're gonna come in and kind of
Should I
do
go
the
up?
waves at the diagonal.
Add a diagonal. Okay.
Yeah, out of the
Should
diagonal.
I start at this corner?
Yeah, start at that corner.
Okay. I feel like I'm gonna get caught halfway through.
You won't.
Okay. All right. I trust you. I trust
Okay.
you. All right. Am I going this way? Just all the way across?
Yeah, go that way, and sometimes it's easier just start in the middle with the waves. There you go, look at how good he's doing. And for him, starting in the middle and going across, and then he'll do the top and the bottom, and then he'll right along his stitch line and do the rest of it. Look at, you've mastered it,
I'm doing
dude.
it, Carla.
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Look how good you're doing.
Miracles happening every day at Echo Lake.
It's a lot of fun, too.
I do notice, like if I don't do my waves prominently at the beginning, it gets, they get kind of less and less as you go.
Right.
So you want to start
Right, so you
really
want to
prominently.
make them prominent, right along that ditch line to get to the other side. Yeah, and it's, I have to admit, Devin's taller, so this frame is really not set for his height. Your frames are, so use them to your advantage. But look how well he's doing, and also he has the added disadvantage of the camera right there. So it's kind of hard for him to see what he's working on.
I kind of like a little bit of the variation too, though. It adds flavor, it adds character to it, right?
So what we're going to do now, after we've done that, I want to
So many
teach you a
things
little
I need to
flower.
learn, really,
okay?
honestly.
I want to teach you a flower. Okay, I'm starting all over again, okay? You don't have to, but see how the loops work? That was easy, huh?
Yeah.
It was simple. Okay, so I'm starting right here in the middle, and I'm going to start out and come out with a spiral, okay? Then I'm going to hit this 12 o'clock position right here, and I'm just going to come up and around, and I'm going backwards now, the opposite way, and keep practicing. These loops are really a lot of fun and add a nice little element to a design that you have, so you have to come out and around. So what I did is I came up to the 12 o'clock, and then I'll go this other direction. So let me do it one more time, because I like these, and these are a lot of fun to do. on a quilt, okay?
Again, very
So I'm kinda-
therapeutic. You just kind of do the
Right.
one motion, just
right,
continue
and
it
then I'm
on.
going to come back up and I'm going to come the other direction, which I'm much better at. And then I'm just going to keep going all the way around. I'm going to go around. I'm going to start out here, and I'm just going to start right here. And I'm going to go around and come down and stop. I'm going to go along that ditch line and come around. I'm just going to keep echo stitching all the way around. So then I'm just going to go like that and around.
So where are you connecting in the ditch? Like, are you
Yes,
doing this
I'm
all as
connecting
one?
in the ditch, and I just
motion?
keep going in the ditch. And notice how you made that little flower stand out now. Or do you want to draw it first?
I may be getting cocky and not confident, but I'm going to
that's
free
fine.
motion. I'm going to free motion.
Okay,
I'm going to
cool.
try it.
All right, find your center.
Okay.
Did we cut it? Nope, we didn't cut it yet. So let's give it a little tell.
All right.
Let's cut our threads so you can start in the middle, and then you know what to do. We'll pull that thread up. All right, there you go.
Okay, so I'm starting. Does that look middle?
That looks pretty darn good.
Enough? Okay.
Bring your thread up, and we'll pull it. Okay, I'm just going to be his assistant, okay?
I need
I'll
it.
cut
I need
your
all
threads,
the assistance
all
I
right?
can get.
All right, do your little spiral.
Okay.
There you go.
Little spiral, and then I'm just going for it.
Yeah, just go for it.
And then kind of coming around. Oh, that's a big one, but that's all
That's
right.
okay.
Again, it's a character flower.
Yeah, it is. It has a lot of personality.
I think all of us are character flowers at
Yes.
one time or another. So this quilt is for everybody.
Yes.
It's for all the characters out there.
One more. All right, and then come back out right there. Come back out right here.
Okay.
Follow along the line, and then just start going around it.
Should
Do your
I
echo
come out
stitch it.
in the middle of it?
Yeah,
or?
just right there.
Okay.
And then start going around
All right,
it.
all right.
And now come back this way and keep going. And then go. So you just do it. There you go. Yeah. Now it has a lot of personality. That little
That one
petal
petal.
does, yes. It's a big one. It wanted to stand out.
It did. It wanted the attention
Yes,
that the
it
stitch
did.
draws
That's
the attention
right.
to. It's taking full advantage of the echo stitch.
You can go outside the lines. Yeah. Nice job.
Should I do another round?
Yeah, do another round. So show them. Go back that direction.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I
It's a
think
lot
so.
of fun, so try it. And the next thing is I'm going to show him what I call raindrops, and it's called a downpour. This is a real fun one to try, but it's not the raindrop with the tip up, it's with the tip down. So it's going to come like this, all right? And then we're going to echo around that, okay? Then you're going to come out from this point here, and you're going to do another one. And you're going to echo around it. Now, we're to this point where I kind of want to make it going facing down. This is a filler design. And see, you have the little space right there. It can go back and forth. So you can just echo to get back out of that. And then I can go back this direction and keep going. And then I just want you to kind of connect them. And if you feel like, oh, hey, I want to come back into this area and fill it in, do one more, all right? And then come out and do one more. And then we'll come out this way, do one more. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you several different feathers to practice. Nice job. Now come in this V, pull a raindrop right there. Yeah, even if it's big, just go for it. Yeah, own that raindrop. And then go up in that V, that open area that's like this. This is where you want to put your raindrops. There you go, you got it.
I'll do some big
Even
ones,
if it's
some little
small
ones.
ones. But see how it's coming together really nicely.
Ooh, I really like this one.
This
was
is
actually
a fun one.
This one might be my favorite of them.
Yeah, it's a fun filler design. So if you have an area that you want to have your applique or your design pop, this is a great filler to use. Nice, he's even getting that little hook on it.
I'm pretending there's a ditch and just moving forward.
That's okay. See, he's getting more confident, so he's already coming up with lines and ways to get out of the situation. So, all right, there are several ways to accentuate a feather. So notice that on some of these designs, see how I did this little, I call them the little Taj Mahal petals. I went around it, but I did the little feather design, so I just accentuated it. I was practicing. Here's a little water meander where I used my foot, where you would use your foot as your guide, and then my popcorn. So the popcorn's just really easy for you to do. So the popcorn, you just come around like this, you make a hook, and then you're just going to go make your humps, and you're going to repeat using your foot for the humps. And now you're just going to keep going across, humps, 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 back.
So this one's kind of a variation because you're not following the exact pattern,
Yes,
but
and
you are
so
following your
notice
general
I got a little
lines.
confused, so I'm just coming back down this way to fill it in. So that one had 2, and I'm going to come down in this area here to pull out of that so I can get back to where I started. Some of them may have 3, some of them may have 4, some may have 2 echoes, and I hit the side of my quilt. But anyway, so while I am showing you a couple of things, I'm having Devin practice a little spiral feather. It kind of looks like a prehistoric one where it comes in with a spiral and it has the little feather humps on it. Feathers are a lot of fun, okay? And there are several different ways to make them. You can start from the top, okay? And you make a teardrop, okay? You make your raindrop, okay? On it, but you want to come halfway up and then do your little heart shape. Halfway up, come down. Now sometimes I will come down my feather, other times I will go up it. Now with the position right here, you just want to make sure that you position it correctly and just go halfway up, and then you want to right along that line and come down. Okay, so now I'm going to go halfway up again and come down. Halfway up and come down. Notice I'm getting in a little spot right here. I just want to pull it down. Okay, so now I'm going to do my echo around it, and I'm going to show you how fun it is to use your foot as your guide and echo around it, and see how it just accentuates my feather as I'm moving around, and you can do as many or as few as you want.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful.
Devin's practiced his little design that he's going to show you, okay? And he's going to start from this point right here.
So, I'm going to kind of come up.
He's going to go around a spiral. And use your foot as your guide. Just come in and use it. There you go. Got it? And then you're going to kind of want to hump around it. So you can just do some little humps on it. Nice job. Little popcorn humps on it.
My friends and I were talking, and we always feel like in the Olympics, they should have an average person do it for comparison.
That's true. It'd be
And
nice.
so that you can really tell like how
Right.
skilled the people are.
Right.
And then at this point, I'm just following along.
Yeah, just
And I
follow
feel
along.
like I'm that person for everyone today. Like,
But
you have
look how
Carla,
good
who's
he's
amazing,
doing.
and you have me, who's just beginning my quilting journey. But we've all got to start somewhere, right?
Yes, we all do.
And again, kind of the bigger it gets, the more you lose the intricacies. So you want to start really detailed so that you can get as much of that.
And that's the echo effect of it.
As you
Because
go.
that's what's drawing the eye in. The more detailed it is, closer to the design that you're making.
I'll just get my last little corner up here.
All right.
And whew, there we go.
I'm just going to show you one more.
Okay.
way to make your feathers and to accentuate them. So I'm just gonna come down here and branch out from the bottom here. And so I want you to try the feathers several different ways, okay? I'm gonna come back down on my line. I've made my stem, and I don't care because that stem, I can fill it in with some pebbles. So, okay, so you can, I'm gonna do one side one way and another side the other way. So I'm gonna come in from this part and come in like this, go around. I've been practicing my feathers a long time, and it's hard when you can't see what's going on, but see, as I'm going down, I'm trying to make that little teardrop on it. And don't be too anal about it, okay? All right, and then I'm just gonna make that teardrop there. And now this other way, I'm gonna come back down. I'm going to come around this way, but I'm going to come in from the top rather than the bottom. So notice this. I'm just gonna come out right here and start moving around it. And then, as I go around it once or twice, then I could add pebbles to it. On this row right here, I could do some pebbles to really accentuate that part of it. Or I could do some up-down, some little loops. I can go in and fill my sign out. Or I could just start echoing around this whole quilt. But I'm gonna come over here, start doing some spirals. So spirals are a nice little filler as well. And you just use it and keep going. You can make them as dense as you want. Now, just enjoy echo stitching. It's a lot of fun. And just practice it. You saw how good Devin was?
If I can do it, anybody can do it. And I'm at the very bottom, so,
Yeah,
it only gets better from here, right?
Yeah, it does. We at the Grace Company are always constantly, how can we help the quilters get better skilled at what they love to do? There's our free motion starter kit. It will get you started and jumping into quilting. It has some simple designs that you can expound and use. It really just gets you familiar with your frame and your machine. So that is the 9-piece foot set. It has 3 different sizes of the Echo feet. It's a great one to get to know and love and use. You can make your distance a little larger, really large if you have a baby quilt that you wanted to go across and keep your spacing of your design the same and even. This would be a nice foot to use. You get 3 sizes of the Echo feet. A large, a medium, and a small. Now it comes with a special foot. This foot here, it comes with this foot and you put these feet on, so, okay? And that's what the foot would look like. So as you're moving along, see how it's going to space your design nice and accurately because you're using your foot as your guide. I have our Quilt Perfect ruler set, and it has this nifty little foot right here that if you want to repeat your stitches, man, it goes around the squares and makes them nice and square. This is near and dear to my heart, this Wonder Foot. So you get this lens that has the crosshairs. Really probably not the best one for echo quilting because you're going along, but it really does help you keep you in the ditch. And if you wanted to repeat your crosshair design or your ditch design, that's the one that you'd use, stitching in the ditch. Now, we've got a 1/4 inch foot, which really helps you mark in on 1/4 inch and keep going around your quilt. And as you move, notice the foot moves. It's 360. So it's very neat, very cool. And it also, this is great for straight lines. Then, if you're doing more circles and you want beautiful, beautiful spirals and circles, this is the one to use. This little circle one. And it really makes, this foot just makes your circles more circular and beautiful as you're quilting and moving along. Because it has this little spring right here that springs down onto your fabric, just like a regular presser foot. You know, you can never have too many pairs of shoes. Well, you can never have too many feet to change out and use how you wanted to use. So, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for teaching me something new. We'll see you next time at Echo Lake, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your summer camp.
We'll see ya.
Campers, we're so excited to have you here today. My name is Counselor Janessa, and this is...
I'm Amanda.
And we are so excited to have you here today for Arts and Crafts Pantographs. I have our pantograph expert here, Amanda, and she's going to walk us through a really great and easy way to use lasers to help us with paper pantographs, as well as using automation to help us. So I'm super excited to jump in. So I guess, Amanda, let's go ahead and get started.
Okay, so we're going to start with our paper pantographs, and then I'll show you how some of the skills that you need to use the paper pantographs will go into using our automation software.
So I'm seeing here you've got a pantograph that you printed out. Where did you find this? Where can people find pantographs out there in the wild?
There are so many places that you can find pantographs. I bought this one off of Urban Elements, and I got the same design in a printed pantograph version and a version that you can use for the automation.
Ooh, okay, so we're gonna see the same pantograph two different ways, and people can choose, okay, I really like using automation, or I really wanna jump in using the printed version.
Yeah, this design is really nice because it's a nested design, so it will look good even if it's a little bit off. With the laser, you aren't going to get perfect every single time, so it's nice to have a little bit of wiggle room. It's also nice that it has these big, long swirls and these points that you can stop at so that you can shift your body and make sure that everything is working out okay on your pantograph.
So am I going to be actually sewing on this paper? That kind of scares me.
No, okay. We are just going to do one row at a time. So the space that this darker pantograph takes up is all that we're going to need at one time. And you may have seen a lot of people quilt from the back, but today I'm going to show you how to do it from the front.
And I noticed we have our front rail really pulled out pretty far, a lot farther than we normally would with our 19-inch machine. Is that so that we have room for the paper pantograph in front?
Yes, so our frames can all extend as much as you need to, which is really great for doing this from the front. And it's nice to be able to quilt the pantograph from the front so that you can see what you're quilting and have the pantograph in front of you.
And would you recommend, before just hopping straight to your quilt, always maybe practicing doodling or following along? What are some ways that I can practice so that I don't ruin my pieced quilt top?
Yeah, so you can use a practice panel, kind of like what I'm using here, just a plain piece of fabric, or you can, with a plain piece of fabric, you don't even need to use the thread. We'll be using thread, but you don't need to. You can have it unthreaded. You could also trace it without even sewing at all.
Oh, okay, so you're saying I can just unthread the needle and it just would poke holes in my fabric, or just follow along, moving just along without even having it going? Oh, that's cool, that's a great idea.
So I have the laser set up on our machine here.
And this is one of our lasers that's compatible with all of our Qnique machines. It's really great because it just plugs right into a port here. If you don't have a Qnique machine, that's okay. We also offer, it's called our Gracie laser, which is compatible. It's really run off a battery operation, and it will connect to any machine. So if you don't have a Qnique and don't have this exact laser, that's okay. We have an option for you as well. Okay, so tell me a little bit more about this laser and how you have it set up.
Okay, so I've got it on the arm here. So we can turn this on. And I found that it's best to have the laser right in front of the hopping foot. That way you can get as much space as your machine can move.
Awesome.
So we'll set it up right in front here.
Oh, you mean just right in front, right in line. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, cool.
Right in front of the foot. And then we'll move this and make sure that we have enough space so that the top of the pantograph will start stitching where we want to. So that's going to start stitching here, so we need to make sure the laser is pointing where.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a little bit easier for us because we're obviously just doing on a practice panel, but if we were doing it in nice sashing or something like that, you'd want to make sure it was lined up a lot more accurately, but we can just kind of go for it.
Yeah. So we can go up here. We want to make sure we have plenty of room for our machine. We can set it up to stitch right there, and we can bring this forward and make sure that we have enough room to get to the very bottom.
Oh, so you just want to make sure your range, you can reach the high points and the low points.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So looks like we have plenty of space. So I'm going to start by pulling the bobbin. So we can move our needle right there, do a single stitch, and pull up our bobbin thread. Then we can press this other button to get the machine started.
And what stitching mode do you have this in right now, Amanda?
I have it in regulated precise, and that is great so that we can stop at each of these points, check the machine.
Oh, I see. And that's one thing I really do like about regulated precise mode is it's going to slow down and speed up at your speed, but it's still going to keep our stitches really nice and neat and consistent. Oh, Amanda, you're making this look so easy.
And it really helps to have these lines to follow. Oh, kind of got off track there.
No, I think it's great. Well, there was one thing. I was actually at a show when we were in Canada together, and I was talking to a few ladies about the laser. And I mean, I say this all the time, I'm a recovering perfectionist, and so I want to get exactly right on the lines. And their tip and trick for really doing a great job with this is just to move along and don't stress too much about it being exactly perfect, right? Just kind of move along, and it's helping you match the flow. It doesn't have to be an exact science, which I think you did a fantastic job with that.
Awesome. So do you want to give it a try?
Oh my gosh, do we want to see me give it a try? All right, beginner laser user, here we go. Let's all be very patient and understanding with me because this might be a little rough, but okay, I'm excited. All right, so first things first, I'm pulling up my bobbin, doing a single stitch. Okay. Oh, I'm so nervous.
That's okay.
All right, here we go. So I've lined it up. It's nice and centered. And here we go.
Watch that with laser light. And it really helps to pause at each of the points.
That's where that regulated precise mode really comes in handy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got lost. Wait, nope, we're good. There you go. All right, I gotta pause for a second because I feel like I'm like super far away. So what do I do when I'm in this position and I'm feeling awkward and my feet are all the way over here? What do you recommend?
Yeah, so that's another thing is to stop at a point just like you did, and then you can pause your machine and then shift over a little bit, and then you can keep going until you reach the end of the row.
And we actually want to have our machine finish in the needle down spot. That's just really helpful again because it's going to keep me in that exact spot right where I stopped. Okay, so I've shifted my body, feeling a lot more comfortable now, and then I can just start going again. Here we go. And another thing to keep in mind, whoop, that one's a little wonky, is that you really can go however fast or slow you're comfortable, right? And on some of these parts where it's smaller movements, it's probably a lot easier to kind of slow down, and especially with that regulated precise, it will slow down with you. But for me, I felt more comfortable kind of speeding up, especially into those bigger curves, because it just helped me move a little bit smoother. So what's your preference? What do you usually do when you do the pantographs?
Yeah, so if you've got a big long line, getting it as quickly and smoothly as possible is best. But once you start getting to that point, it helps to slow down a little bit so you can pause at the right moment.
Gotcha. Okay, and maybe kind of picking, what would maybe be helpful, you can almost like pick points and draw little dots like, I want to pause here, I want to stop here, to kind of keep you going in a nice kind of uniform motion.
Yeah.
So for the sake of time, I'm just going to sew all the way over here to the side and pretend that I just finished this beautiful line of my pantograph. So let's use our imagination. So let me sew on over here. We'll just pretend. And let's say we're to the end of our quilt, and I'm seeing we've got this straight blue line here that lines up right along with my laser. What's this for? What's the purpose?
Okay, so at the beginning, you can use the laser to mark off where you are going to stop with your machine. So this is as far as your machine will go, so that you don't stitch any extra when you are
Gotcha, because this is like the edge of my quilt, so it's just telling me kind of my safe area, like we do in automation. This is kind of my safe area, is that right?
Yeah, or the placement of where it was placed.
So how did you mark this on the paper?
So you can check with your laser how far the machine will go, and you'll want to get the back and the front. Make sure that your machine will quilt all along the edge. Okay? Then you can line up your ruler and make sure that you draw a straight line from the top to the bottom so that you know where your stitching is going to stop. And you just need to make sure that you get the lines that are on this side of the marking that you made.
Awesome. So one of the key reasons why people really like to do pantographs, right, is so that they could do an edge to edge all the way across and all the way down their quilt. So we've done kind of a messy version of a pantograph, right?
We're just practicing.
Yeah, this is just practice, right? So just pretend, use your imagination, pretend it's this beautiful arts and crafts pantograph. But so what do I do when I want to get to the next row of my quilt? I'm ready to shift, I'm ready to go on to the next section.
Okay, so you'll have your machine stopped at the point where you're stopped, and then we can unclip this and roll it to the next position. We'll pay attention to the laser and how far it can move, and we'll use these ghosted lines to align the bottom of these stitches that we've already made with the printed pantograph.
So that's going to create kind of that nesting we were talking about.
Yeah, because it's nested, it's really important so that we know how far up this can go into the nested.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's show them exactly how we would roll their quilt. So hopefully, okay, let me hop over here. So we'll take our quilt clips off, get these out of the way for us. Okay, and then we will unratchet. Whoops, maybe. There we go.
Unratchet that and roll it.
This is always the fun part. Okay, tell me when.
Oh, we still need to see our,
okay, so too far.
Yep. Just a little bit there so we can get to the bottom. And then you can clip that.
Okay.
And we'll ratchet this. Okay.
There is our quilt clip.
Yeah, here's this side. And this side. Okay, so now we can move our machine over this way, and we will line up our needle with the bottom of this pantograph. And remember, we want the laser to be right in front of the needle, but down here, so that this lines up with the ghosted
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Pantograph. Okay. We can move this down a little bit, give us some space. Okay.
Do a lot of people, do they actually pin the paper to the fabric? Is that something that people do?
Yeah, you can pin it, or I've seen painter's tape, and you can use the painter's tape also to mark off the ending of your pantograph.
Gotcha. Okay, so now we're ready for our next part of the pantograph. So we've lined it all up, we've got our needlepoint to needlepoint, now what?
Okay, so now we want to do the same thing as our last row, make sure that we have enough space. So we can bring it to the top here and at the bottom of the design. Okay. So it looks like we have enough space, so we would just return to our starting place.
And normally we would want to tack down our quilt, right? Again, if this wasn't a practice piece, we want to tack it all down.
Yeah, tack it all down, do a single stitch to bring up our bobbin, and then we can start sewing again. Okay. So now I think we're ready to get to see how setting up a pantograph in automation works.
Perfect. Okay, give us just a second so we can tighten the belts and get automation all loaded. Okay, so we tightened the belts, we got the automation cords all hooked up and ready to go. Amanda's got a few additional instructions for us before we get started on our pantograph using our Quilter's Creative Touch software and our quilt motion set up to our machine. So Amanda, what's next?
Okay, so in order to stitch out this pantograph, we need to know exactly how much space we're going to be filling with our pantograph. So with our paper pantograph, we were just doing it one section at a time. So we didn't need to know exactly how much, but for this quilt, we're going to need, with this process, with using the automation, we're going to need to know exactly how much space we're going to fill so that we can put that into the software.
Okay, so for this example, we're basically measuring like the remainder of the quilt. But if I wanted to fill in like a certain block or sashing or border, I would measure just that exact portion. So I'm really just determining and measuring, okay, how much am I wanting to fill up with this edge-to-edge pantograph? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, do we have our measure? Oh, here's our measuring tape.
Yeah. Okay, so we can measure the width and the height. So our width is, looks like 31 inches.
Okay, I'll try and remember that.
And our height, you want to hold that there so we can get all of this.
And normally it would probably be easier to do this off the frame, right? Measure it beforehand. Okay.
Yeah, 51.
31 and 51. Okay, I'll remember that.
Remember that. Okay. So, and usually you'll have an idea of how big your quilt top is, like maybe the pattern says how big it is, but you still want to measure it so that you make sure that you have the exact measurements.
Perfect. Okay, so we've got it measured. We've got our quilt clips. Do we need to get that all loaded up?
Yeah, so we'll put our quilt clips on. And take that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now we can open up QCT and start making our automated pantograph. So double click here.
So we're just opening up the software.
So it's to make sure it's in the center. It just needs some space to move.
And when we hear that noise and it kind of shifting around, that's telling us that the software and the quilt motion are all engaging with the machine.
Yep, it's just kind of giving it itself a test. Okay, so now we are going to use the pantograph feature. This is available both in beginnings and in pro. Beginnings is a little bit different, so we're using the pro software, and we're going to show you how to do this in the easy mode in the pro software. Okay. So we'll start by setting our safe area. We want to give ourselves plenty of space, so we'll go off into the batting area, off our quilt top. Yeah, it's where the machine is safe to move.
Gotcha.
Okay. So you might think like, oh, this is safe for my quilts to be stitched on, but it's really where this machine can move.
Gotcha.
And you want to make sure that all of your cords are in the right place too before you start quilting. Okay. So we've set our Panto mode to easy. Okay. If you need to switch it, you can click Panto mode. You've got a bunch of different options. Okay. And we're using easy. Okay. This easy mode is a lot like setting up a paper pantograph, because we are going to tell it how tall the pantograph is going to be and then just how much space we want to get it covered. Okay. So we're going to start with the total width and the total height.
And that's those measurements we did earlier, right? 31 and 51, I remembered.
Yeah, so we'll set the width to 31, okay, and the height to 51. Okay. You can kind of see it's changed to be rectangular, and this space is a lot wider than our quilt motion or our frame. So we're going to need to sew this in zones, and just like with our pantograph, we had to shift our quilt for each row. We'll have to do this in different zones. Each zone might be a few rows at a time, but we are going to have to shift our quilt for each zone.
Perfect. Okay.
So now I'm going to select my pattern. So you can tap this button here to select pattern. And I'm going to open the same design that I used for the paper pantograph. I purchased both the paper version and the digital version. So I put it in this folder called Purchase Patterns. You can select it and click Open. You can see only one design has filled in right now, but we are going to give Panto Stacker a little bit more information, so the easy mode will fill in all the rest of the designs. So I'm going to set the pattern height. So you can tap here for pattern height, and I'm going to set the pattern height to 6 inches. 6 and OK. And you can see that easy mode has filled in from top to bottom, but it hasn't filled in side to side. So I'm going to make a couple of adjustments so that the designs fill in from side to side. So this button at the top with the hearts, it will adjust how the design fills in. Okay. So I'm going to tap it one time so that the blue circle is at the top. And that will make it so the designs all connect and fill in from one side to the other without wrapping around. Next, I want the designs to stretch out from side to side. So I'm going to click this next button that says center, so it will switch to stretch. And this is going to ask us if it's okay to unlock the aspect ratio. So we'll click yes, and the design will stretch to fill the space. Then we need to make this design nest by tapping the scale button. And you can tap that one time and you can see that it has started to nest and fill in up above and down below the design. If you think that the design is stretching too much or too little, you can change how much it stretches by using this step button on the right side. Make it bigger or tiny or small, but this medium amount seems to work well for this design.
Okay, so you're just kind of, in some ways, just kind of adapting and testing things until you find what you really like the look of. Is that right? It just kind of takes a little bit of wiggle room because each design's a little bit different.
Yeah, and as you're playing with it, you'll find out what each of these buttons can adjust.
Perfect. And I know there's a lot of really great help files that can walk you through what each of those different settings and stuff are too. So if you have more questions about that, be sure to check those out.
Okay. So now that we've got this all designed how we want it to look, all we have to do is click sew in zones, and then we can start marking our area, and it'll start and we can get it started stitching out. Perfect. Okay. So we'll click sew in zones.
And we're picking sew in zones because it's going across the whole area of our quilt. If I was doing just, again, like one small border or one bit of like sashing or something like that, I would just do single placement.
Yeah. So this is asking if I want to save my sewing session. I'm going to click no, but if you are using a real quilt, you're definitely going to want to save that pattern so that you can go back to it if something happens with your automation.
Yeah, say your power goes out or you need to take a break, you're not going to sew all through the night, you'll want to make sure and save that. Okay, so we've clicked sew in zones and now we're to the portion where we need to mark our center. So show us how to do that.
Yeah, so to find the exact center of our quilt top, let's go to the ruler tool in the quilting interface screen. To find that, you need to go to the toolbox, and then the ruler icon there. Then we can go to the edge of the quilt over here, and the edge over this way, and tap the other side of the ruler. And we want this machine to move to the center. And this icon here means it'll move the machine to the center of the two places that you
Oh, I love that.
Yes. Okay. And yeah, we can even use this to place our sticker underneath the hopping foot and do a single stitch right into the sticker so we know exactly where this placement is going to be placed. Okay. So we'll use our toolbox to get a single stitch as well. Okay. Then we can click back to get out of the ruler, and we can tap this center placement button to place our design. We'll need to release our carriage and move the machine to our starting point. So you can see on the screen, the green circle is our starting point. So we'll give it an estimate of where it's going to start. And we'll do a single stitch on the quilting interface screen. And then we can click sew. I wish we could stay here all day for Arts and Crafts Pantographs to watch the rest of this project sew out. Unfortunately, we're pretty limited on time. So Amanda, for the next steps, if you can just walk them through really quickly what they can expect next.
Okay, so once your machine is done stitching out the pantograph, you're going to need to move to the next zone. The machine will walk you through everything, but you need to make sure that you are following all the directions and marking each step. Okay. So the machine will move to the center where you'll place the sticker underneath the hopping foot just like we did. And for the first step, then you'll do a single stitch into the sticker, roll your quilt to give it enough space, and it will show you how much space that it needs. Then you will place the design again. So the amount that you move your quilt won't matter, but you'll get it close so that you know that you have enough space to fit the whole pantograph.
And it seems like a lot, but what really is nice about the Quilter's Creative Touch software is it really does walk you through each of those steps, step by step, tells you exactly which button to press. Again, thank you so much, Amanda, for being our pantograph expert. We have loved our time here at Camp Grace and hope you enjoy the rest of the day.
I'm camp educator for quilting rulers. Today we're going to have some fun. We're going to build some bridges, climb some mountains while creating fabulous fun quilting designs. So before we get started, safety first. So I'm going to show you a couple of things that we need to do. Today I'm actually using my fabulous Cutie 21X Elite. It's my favourite. I've also got my settings on precise, and I'm going to be using the machine with start stop with the needle in the down position. And without further ado, let's get started.
So, safety first. First thing I've made sure is that I have the right hobbing foot on for quilting with a ruler. Now, most of our quilting rulers should be about a 1/4 inch perspex, and you'll see that this quilting ruler has some fabulous increments, 1/8, 1/4 inch, and of course our foot is a 1/4 inch. So that actually really helps us with less marking on our quilt. You girls can mark your quilt tops, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Or you can use the increments on here so that you don't actually have to mark. You'll notice I have my ruler base on, and that's so as I'm guiding, my ruler has something nice and easy to work on. And of course the ruler foot. So I've gone and changed it to my ruler foot, and I do need one because the last thing I need is the ruler to slip underneath my foot and actually the needle breaks and I do the timing on the machine. So let's get started. So let's go over. Now, the wonderful thing about ruler work is it actually adds element and design and feature to our blocks. So this is just our pre-printed block. So the first thing I do is needle up, needle down, and this brings up my bobbin thread. And I'm going to make sure that I block off that thread. That just means that the moment I start stitching, that I'll have proper tension by locking the threads off. The other thing I've done is my machine is on precise, and if you'll notice, I've actually asked the machine to stop and start with the needle in the down position. It just gives me the confidence I need that when I swivel or move the ruler, that the machine's not going to be running away from me. So here we go. Now, the idea is that you're guiding your machine down the ruler edge. You don't press down. It's literally just relax your hand. You don't need to be tight or wound up, and you just literally just guide it down. Now, I like to usually ditch the block first. Sometimes I can be a little bit excited and want to get into it, so here we go. And you'll notice as I get to the corner, I stop, I then pivot my ruler, and away I go. Now some people will just stop and move their ruler and slide it. You can do that if you prefer. Just simply stop and guide your ruler into the next position. And this is why we stop with the needle in the down position. So over we go. And I'm back to the start. Now, straight line quilting has been around for years. We always used to do it on our domestic machine. Well, now we have the fun ability to do it on our long arm machines. So now what I just did then is, you can see these little increments. I want to do crosshatch. So each one of these lines is 1 inch. So I've just gone across, backtracked. I'm at 1 inch, so now I swivel the ruler. I can see here that I'm guided, and away I go. It's really that easy. Stop, and I pivot, line it up, and away I go. Now, if you would like to mark your quilt top, before you start, that's perfectly okay. I used to do that all the time just so that it made me comfortable. Now, I'm going to travel across to there because this is great. Now, if I was doing a border, we would call this piano keys. So it really is an easy way to add dimension to a border. So. And one more. Now, when you quilt, just make sure your quilt top it's firm, but not drum tight. And just line up there. And as you can see, I just backtracked up that original ditch line and away we go. And you know, I love a good thread, so I'm just using a little bit of finesse variegated just to add an element to this block. The nice thing is, once upon a time, we did a lot of ditch work, and it was hard work if our seams weren't the right way. It created problems. Now, it's so okay to stitch straight across a block design and add another element. And of course, that's why I like variegated thread. It adds a really pretty element to the design. Now that I'm finished stitching it, just lock off those stitches, come back, bring up that bobbin thread, use my snips, and we've done just a little pretty cross-hatch design on there. You can do so many things with fun line design. Okay, so this is block number 2, and I really like this block. I love the detail in the little triangles. So, you know how I said to you I really like straight line? It's because it's engaging the texture that it places on the quilt block. So I'm going to use the design element of the block to quilt the design. So using the blue water soluble pen, I actually drew some lines, and what that is so I don't actually have to unpick. It's basically encoring the design before I start stitching. And I've said to myself, well, how am I going to go about stitching this design? So that's always a good thing. It gives you confidence to know that the path that you're going to go and the bridges that you're going to cross, that you're going to make it. I'm going to travel across to my next point. And the nice thing is, once upon a time, we used to only ever ditch a block. And, you know, it's really rather boring. This way we get to quilt the elements within a block. Travel across. Now, my ruler isn't that big, so I hope you can actually see that. I found that working with rulers, that if they were too long, I became unbalanced. So I'd rather stop at a point or a junction like this where you're not going to see anything go wrong, and realign myself. Some people travel with the ruler. I personally like to realign. Then let's travel across. Travel down. And then I'm going to travel over to here because I forgot some diagonals on this side. Then when we have a look at this block, I really like it because there's designs within the design. So it created a crosshatch in the center, which was a focal point. And then here we just have lovely radiating lines. It's quite fast, it's quick, and it's adding more elements to our patchwork. Block 3 is also straight line quilting. And then this time, using the foot as a guide, I'm going to stop, and you'll see that my foot's here and the edge of my stitching's here. And I'm just going to create like a mini chevron, all with just a straight line. And travel. So we don't need to spend a huge amount of money to get going and have a lot of fun. And I'm just going to travel down now and do the rest of the block so that you can actually see what we can create and how much fun we can have with our quilting machines. So what we're doing is we're creating lines within lines. And, you know, we used to want to ditch everything. And that was really hard because if we were ditching and our seams weren't perfectly flat, we had stitching on top of the other part of the ditch line, and we got very upset. With this way, it doesn't matter. Because what we're doing here is we're using the elements of the patchwork that we've created. Now this is where I'm going to have a bit of fun. And this is how we create those continuous lines. Before I travel up here and I finish and I ditch the outer block, I want to do something in here. So now I'm just going to grab one of my little circles, and this is where I can have a bit of fun. I'm just creating half moons. really happy with that. So now I'll travel back up. And to keep that element of surprise, because I tucked those circles in, I'll just go and add some here. I'm back here, so now let's just ditch the outside of that. Now truly, I probably should have ditched the outside of the block first, but in this particular case, it really didn't matter. So you can see what we've done here is just adding a second element of a curve has created quite a pretty little block. You girls say, oh, I can't custom quilt. Yes, you can. Block number 4. So I tricked you and suddenly brought in a circle. These circles are so much fun to work with. I will be a good girl and I will ditch the outside of the block first. There's so many great designs that we can create with rulers. Okay, so I ditched it. Now I was thinking, what if I did half round circles to here and then I did some sort of element in here? So let's get a larger circle. One of the things to think about is when I use the foot, naturally it's going to be 1/4 inch from here. So I quite like that arc and that size so that it's not too elongated. So let's see what we can create. We come down and I stop. Now, it'd be quite natural for me to want to go back, but I do want to do the center. So I'm going to get the little circle and I'm just going to create another little pattern within here. And by stopping with the needle down, as I said, it's really quite easy to then adjust your hand and get yourself comfortable. And I hope you can see what I'm doing and that my hand isn't creating too much of a problem. And it's like, I don't mind that, but it's not quite standing out. So let's come in on the center. Okay, reasonably happy with that, but I might set that off by ditching it. She might become a little bit more exciting. And remember, you know, I didn't plan this block, so this is where, as quilters, we're in charge. We get to have the fun. And we get to create our own designs. So now I'm going to travel back up. And I actually quite like that line down the centre. So how about I travel back down to that one. And then I might actually travel up, because I can see it on the design of the fabric. Probably not the best move, but let's see how we go. using the ruler as a guide. Come back. Oh, okay, I can, yeah, but that works. And then I'll just travel up. Just line myself up. And as you can see, I'm just sliding the rulers back and forth on my quilt top. I lost my circle. Here we go. Just before I get out of there, I'll just have a look and see whether I want to create like a little diamond in here. I might actually do that. So here we go. Okay, I am actually pleasantly surprised. So just playing, we created a completely different design. And I'm really, really happy with it. So let's have a look. There you go. So I think that's the thing. You know, dare to be a little bit different. It's your quilt, it's your style. You know, with a couple of small tools like a straight ruler and a couple of circles, you can create some pretty nice little elements in that quilted block. For block number 5, I decided to change my ruler foot because I really wanted to show you how Grace actually have several styles of ruler foot, and it's to basically help all quilters at different levels and different stages, and this fits the entire Unique 21 range. So what I did a sneaky and I changed this foot to the precision foot. Now it's really amazing because what it is see how this swivels. Okay, so this is the fabulous little TrueCut ruler, and it's for doing what we've been doing, continuous line designs with our rulers. But the interesting thing is they have 3 feet in this set, and this one is called the True Track foot. And what that does is you'll see the little grooves here. It actually locks on. So I'll just lock that on. And what it is it's the same thing. It's for precision quilting, and once again it swivels. So this little guide here locks onto this guide here. And for the girls that find ruler work really hard, who want to push down or press or flip things up, it's awesome. It also means the ruler's not going to go underneath hit the needle and damage. So that's really ace. And this one's really good too. So it's the proper height, but this one's a roller bearing. So if you don't like guides, the wonderful thing about this one is, I wonder if you can see that little bearing swing. So it literally helps guide you. So for all of us that love to do the ruler work and do the modern quilting designs, that's how it works. So with the needle in the up position, I'm going to lock my ruler on, pop myself into position, pop my needle down. And you see I'm locked. And now, I've got to press the start button. I can literally just travel down. Move my ruler, and it's great. You just track so well. Now, listen to me. I actually went to move the ruler. I don't have to. See that? Old habits die hard, and this is where it is so good, because I just swiveled the ruler and the guide moved with me. So I can just stop. And because of the increments on this ruler, I can actually see where I am. So once again, I just slide, move up. And it's like, woo, okay. Now I did it again. See, old habits die hard. Just pop myself under, swivel, get myself in position. And as you can see, if you do what I just did because you're accustomed to the old style foot, it really doesn't matter. So now I'm going to just guide myself along here. Swivel. See, it's funny. You can teach old dogs new tricks. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to just travel down and then and do 2 lines. Swivel. And this would be fabulous for creating chevrons on a quilt. Yeah, here we go. Straight down. So, how I'm measuring is, see this little point here? When it's reaching that stitch line, I then know I'm in alignment to where I would like to be. So here we go. So I don't actually always have to watch the needle, which is pretty fantastic. So I just guide myself. And, you know, if I wanted to, if you're a left-hander, you can switch to the other side. And you see the black part here of our little guide is just travelling along my stitch line. So it's really clever. And, you know, I travelled too far, so I can just come back, travel round, and here we go. So it's only taken a couple of minutes to change a bad habit over to a new habit. Now I'm just going to travel across and see how I've just used the guide here on the side so that I know I'm straight all the way up, and now I'm just going to... So this would be pretty nice to create piano keys. So, you can just see I'm just hopping along, lining up. Oh, that's giving me really nice straight lines. And the really nice thing is because the markings are coloured, I can actually see the marking lines on my previously stitched line. So it really is giving me the precision that I'd like. I think it's important to note that sometimes you just need to stay with it and get your mojo and get your quilting style. Don't give up. Climb that mountain. So I hope when you watch this little video, one of the things you take from Quilt Camp is learn to explore. Explore the different rule of feet that we actually have. Find the one that works for you in your journey. Explore the different shapes of rulers to create borders, to create block designs, to create continuous designs, modern, traditional. You can do so much more than just stitch a quilt. The second thing is, remember, safety first. We do it safe. Make sure that we are using a proper quilting ruler. Make sure that our rulers are at least 1/4 inch perspex or specially designed rulers that make it easier for us, that have the proper markings on them, and make sure that you have your ruler base installed on your machine. That way your rulers won't tip. And number 3, always remember to have fun on your quilt journey. Thanks for watching.
And when I opened the bobbin case, there was no bobbin inside. Oh my gosh. I know.
Oh, hello everyone. Welcome.
Hi guys.
We are here for the segment and we are telling everyone's quilting horror stories. Dun dun dun. So for the last couple weeks, we've been reaching out to you to hear your quilting horror stories. Hopefully we can learn a little bit from these quilting horror stories so we don't have to experience them on our own, right? That's the hope. So we're going to share a few of those. We've got some videos to share with you as well, but we would love in the comments if you will share your quilting horror stories with us as well. We want to pick a few from the comments to share with our viewers out there. So Courtney,
yes,
I've heard you've got the quilting horror story of quilting horror stories. So excited to hear this one.
It was a dark and stormy night. It was just me, my machine, and my frame. I had just changed the needle and I was quilting along, not doing so well. Like the tension was off and I was like, what's wrong? And then I was just like, and the needle went through my finger. I know, it was awful. I broke the needle with my finger, probably the bone.
Oh,
yeah. Luckily it didn't go all the way through. It just kind of like went through the side of my finger and went out. You should always put on your needle the right way.
Oh no, so that's what the issue was.
Yes,
the needle was incorrect.
Yes, so you always want your needle, the needle, if you have it from the side, will have like a little bump carved out of it. You want that bump facing you, well, facing me, if that makes sense.
Yes, this is a silly comparison, but I always think of my needle, it's got like a sweet little pregnant lady bump and we're touching bellies. Like, so I know that's such a weird thing. I'm very visual and for whatever reason that helps me, but there are a lot of horror stories of needle placement being incorrect. And something that's interesting with quilting machines is with domestic machines, you can't put it in wrong, right? But with quilting machines, it can happen a lot. Okay, Maddie, I've heard you got a gnarly quilting horror story as well. Let's hear it.
It's a good one. Be ready.
We're ready.
I worked at the Grace Co. for about 5 months and I decided I wanted a quilting machine of my own to work on at home. Oh, I'm getting chills.
Sorry, I'm so scared.
And I thought, okay, I needed a place at home so I could do it, so I decided to go to my basement and clean out my brother's old room.
And that was a horror side of its own.
I believe it.
The top half of the room was painted blue and the bottom half was black.
Oh.
It was disgusting. So gross. But I decided I'm gonna paint it, I'm gonna clean it. I did all of that work so I could finally get my own unique machine. I decided that I wanted the 19 and I got the 19. It's a good one, it's a good one. And I was like, hey, I have a project. I need to work really hard on this. I need to get it done by this time. And I wanted to use ruler work. I put on my ruler base. I started quilting and my machine started flopping from side to side.
Oh my God. Oh gosh.
I have tears in my eyes. It's making weird noises. And I go running upstairs to my mom. I broke the machine! And I'm thinking I broke it for sure. So I went in the next day, went and talked to our lovely sewing lab and said, hypothetically, if this were to happen, is it broken? And they just laughed at me and said, no, you put the ruler base on the wrong way, backwards.
That'll do it. Yeah. That'll do it.
And it really ruined it. So, had to start over on the project, but
that's a bummer.
I figured it out.
Well, it had a happy ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And luckily, we're really lucky here at the Grace Company because people have their quilting horror stories. And, you know, we have incredible technical support that you can call in and help solve those quilting horror stories. So, again, I thank you so much for sharing those, you guys. We have some fantastic submissions that I would love, love, love to see. So, let's cue that first quilting horror story video.
Hello. So, listen, one time I got a brand new rotary cutter and I was putting it back in the package and it sliced my finger. And I thought, oh, it'll be fine. And I had like a towel around it and I'm like, oh, it's fine, it's fine. And I took the towel off, blood squirted all over my wall. It wasn't fine. In fact, I had to go to the hospital and get some stitches and I still cannot feel this fingertip. Then I cut myself again, same rotary cutter, but no stitches this time and no blood on the quilt, so I was very happy. Side note, I then bought recently a new TrueCut rotary cutter from Grace. Guess what? I haven't cut myself yet.
Yay! Well, this is my quilting horror story. I started this quilt some time ago and I've put it away right now because I'm kind of disgusted with it. I have to take out a whole bunch of stitching because even though I was very careful and I spray basted it and I tried to get it right, I did the center first, then I did the bottom half, and then I did the top, and then lo and behold, I got to here and found out my spray basting had slipped. And so this edge of the quilt is wrong, and I'm gonna have to take it out, and then I'm going to have to fix it all. Hopefully this won't happen again because the Cutie Frame is on my wish list.
Oof, that was horrible. Those some, you know, as I was watching the first videos and hearing about the sliced finger, my immediate thought was, man, we need to get her some TrueCut. And I'm so glad because it really does. It makes a huge difference. I mean, I've had some really close calls, but since using TrueCut, in the clear.
Yeah.
All right.
Magic.
I wanted to tell my quilting horror story. Yes. So, oh man, it just breaks my heart. It's more of a sad story than a quilt. Anyway, we'll get into it. Okay, so once upon a time, I was doing, it was one of my very first quilts I'd ever done using automation, and I was doing pantographs all the way down, off the quilt, all the way down the quilt.
And I was in my second zone of my quilt, and I didn't tack down my edges. And, oh no, it goes, and it's, oh my gosh. It's going in quilting to hop onto the quilt top, and it just, the foot just snags the quilt top and just pulls and yanks the whole quilt top through the side, trying to do automation. I clicked the stop as fast as I could, but the damage had been done. It was a real heartbreaker. It was. So I learned a really, really, really valuable lesson. Always, always, always tack down those edges. Are you crying? I know it's a sad one.
Truly awful.
It's a rough one, right? Okay, I want to see, we've got a few comments and stories that are shared here. Maddie, if you could read this story from Noreen.
Oh, I sewed through my finger once. No good. I took the needle out of the machine and my dad pulled the needle out of my finger with a pair of pliers. Ooh. I keep my fingers away from the needle now. Way to learn.
Yeah.
Way to learn.
Oof. I actually saw, I don't know if you guys follow the Quilting with Grace Facebook group. There was a lady who shared a picture of her recovering finger after the needle, and there was probably 20 or 30 different groups or different ladies who had shared really similar stories. So man, it's a rough one. It is a rough one. All right, let's hear about Susan.
Put my first quilt on the frame. I was so scared to quilt it. I sewed the border, then decided to take the quilt off and ripped the whole thing out. It's still not quilted, and I used the piano keys with a ruler, spent several hours to rip it out.
I think we've all got a few horror stories that involve our not so good friend, seam ripper. Yikes, yikes. Well, I've been told we have a few additional videos that we can watch with some other submissions. So let's watch a few other of our submissions.
I saw that really nice man on the Grace Company's website with a big old stack of UFOs. I thought, so I bought myself a Cutie quilter, and I love it. Yay! So I was bringing out all these UFOs that are 15, 20 years old that I just threw away underneath the bed, whatever. So I got one, was prepping it already for my Cutie quilter. I was all happy. Bright thread, yada, yada, yada. Print down, iron infused. The borders were wavy. That's why I never finished it. So now I have to go back through and tear all the borders out and re-prep it for my Cutie quilter. Which is going to take me quite a while. But note to self, make sure your quilts are ready properly for your whatever quilting method that you decide to do. Long arm, domestic machine, take it and pay it. Make sure it's properly prepared for your next action. Da, 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 da.
Hello, my name's Kelly Shaponiak, and I quilt almost all of my own quilts on a regular domestic machine. So one of my horror stories, since I pinned my quilts, I would have issues such as this. And now I have to take it apart so that I can fix that horrible issue.
Oof. Wow. Yeah. Those are rough ones. We have a few more in the comments. I want to share Mary Ann Fox. So her horror story, I ripped out eyelashes on the back of my quilt way too many times. She switched to glide thread and not an eyelash sense. I love it when these horror stories have a happy ending. Me too. I love it when they have a good resolution. All right, let's go to Dina. Dina's horror story. Maddie, will you share that one?
I was working on a friend's t-shirt quilt and she forgot to put interfacing on one block.
I had to iron interfacing on the quilt while it was still on the frame.
Oh gosh. Hey, that's pretty innovative though,
It's-
right?
yeah.
You make it work. I
Takes
like it.
skill. A lot of skill.
Awesome. Courtney, I've been told you have another horror story.
That was a lie.
No, you don't. Man, she's lucky. Never had another horror story?
Not at all.
Oh man. Okay, let's go to Maddie.
This happened so long ago. Gotta think, what time is it? About
2:15.
About 12 hours ago.
Oh, okay.
So long.
It's fresh. Still fresh.
Still fresh. I am working on making my own computer case.
Oh, that's fun.
And I have quilted it, and it's so nice, and yesterday was just a bad day. I went down into my quilting room. It was dark. I stepped on a pin.
Oh.
And then I go to measure my lovely quilted masterpiece, and it's not long enough to fit my computer.
No.
So I have to add to the edges. And as I'm adding to the edges, like, this needs to get done. I've been working on it for a while. Go through, put it on my sewing machine, and I start adding it, and my bobbin runs out.
Classic.
So I pull out my bobbin, and apparently the tension's wrong too, so I start messing with the tension, and my bobbin case breaks.
Oh, on your domestic?
On my domestic.
Oof. That's terrible.
And this is all yesterday. Like, this is, you can't make this up.
It's a rough day.
So I'm just like, okay, I gotta get this done. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sew on my quilting machine, okay? Because I'm like, I just need this done.
Oh my gosh. Okay, continue.
So I go and I work on it, and I turn it over, and my tension is crap.
Oh,
dang it. I keep getting loops. So I'm in tears. And this is when I text you too.
You were there for moral support, of
Definitely.
course. Of course.
It was so sad. And I went and I had to spend more money on my sewing machine to buy a new bobbin case.
Dang it. That's a doozy. But you know what? You lived to tell the tale. You did it. Oh my goodness. All right, we've got a few more in the comments. Carol, let's look at Carol's. So I thought I measured my batting correctly, quilted the whole quilt using QCT until I got to the last zone and realized that I was 1 inch short on batting. I had to piece it, but it was hard because it was only an inch. Ooh, yeah, that's kind of a tricky add-on at the bottom. I'm glad you're able to make it work though. That's a tough one. All right, let's see. Barbara's got a question. So one of my straps lost the part that the strap goes through in the rod and holds the quilt. Do you carry the piece or another strap? Thanks. Enjoy your different programs that you have. So she's asking a question. Her horror story, she lost one of her straps. Dang it.
Probably on a hoop frame style.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
You know, I have to tell a few stories that I've seen. So I love being a part of the Cutie Quilters Facebook group. It's really fun just because, again, they always have people to help solve their own horror stories. One that I see a lot on the Cutie group is it has these really great straps that loop onto your quilt and hold, kind of bungee it together. If you don't properly attach those and loop the elastic through, I've seen a lot of people who've sewn their bungees into their quilts. You gotta make sure you do those properly because, man, it's a real bummer when you go to move or take your quilt off and you've got to do some unpicking. So that is a horror story I've unfortunately seen more than once.
Oof.
Okay, I want to share one of mine. I feel like it's kind of a reoccurring theme. I didn't know that quilting and sewing was such a dangerous hobby, but here we go. So this was long ago, back in my younger days, and I was sewing. I was piecing together with Minky. I thought it'd be really fun to do a quilt with Minky. How many of you guys have had an issue quilting or sewing with Minky? Piecing with Minky? It's so soft and cozy, but man, it adds on some fun factors you have to deal with. So there I was,
just sewing along, thinking everything was moving along swimmingly. I'm very distractible, right? So I look up and dun dun dun, there goes my finger through the needle. And of course my immediate reaction is to yank back as hard as I can. And so I've got a needle going through, and let it be known, I don't do blood or guts or anything of the sort. Yes, I went passed out, just finger or needle still in my finger. And you know, I took a long break from sewing after that. I seriously, I think it was 5 or 6 years before I was like mentally and emotionally ready to sit back down at a sewing machine. But here I am, I'm back. I'm a lot more careful now. So it's a doozy. It's a doozy. I want to hear in the comments, how many of you guys have had a needle? Like you can just say, I shouldn't have to tell your story. How many of you have had a blood-related incident in your quilting career? Let's hear it. Okay, I think we've got, oh, yep, Joyce, been there, done that. I'm sorry, it's not a fun one. Okay, I saw, oh, and her mom too. Man, everybody, goodness gracious. Okay, I think we've got a few more videos. So let's tune in and watch a few videos.
I'm here to tell you a very scary story, a nightmare, in fact. So I had just started quilting, which really was not that long ago, and I decided to take on the task of making all of my siblings, there were 4 of them, quilts for Christmas. Every single one was going to get their own like throw-size quilt, which is just a lot that I decided to take on. And I thought, you know what my baby brother needs? He needs a white quilt. White. I determined of all the colors that I could have selected that white was the one that would do really well. And it did. It looked really nice. Let me show you. See? So pretty. It's Christmas. You can see the elf in the picture. It looks great. I was very risky. And I put burgundy in the circles and on the sides. This is a free pattern, by the way, if you want it. But I think you know that things took a turn. Let me show you. Do you see? This is not a lighting issue. That is a pink quilt, an irregularly pink quilt, because I washed it. I like the whole crinkle, and I washed it, and that's what happened. Here's an even better picture of that. You can see the dye. So I made a mistake. I got a flannel burgundy backing from an estate sale, and I thought that it was fine, and I didn't pre-wash it. It's not fine, and you shouldn't do that in my book. At least that's the lesson I learned from this. But anyway, I learned an even better lesson because I got to remake this quilt, because I wasn't gonna actually gave him this quilt, but I wasn't gonna give him like a, you know, subpar quilt. So here's what I ended up with. So there, that's what I ended up making. A lot hardier for my brother, a lot more likely to withstand the caliber of love he was likely to give this quilt. So it all worked out. He got both quilts. So we got 2 quilts for Christmas. One of them is one he's not afraid to use because it's already destroyed. And then there's this one which he also uses, which is less likely to be destroyed. So I learned a lot from my very scary giant mistake.
So my horror story starts like this. At the time I had 2 young children, ages probably 2 and 1, and they were napping, and I was going to be going to a baby shower, so I was free motion quilting a quilt when I let my finger go underneath the needle, and the needle actually pierced through my finger and it was stuck. Well, my mother-in-law lived right behind us, so I unscrewed where the needle was so that I could take my finger out, and I ran to her house because first I thought I was going to pass out, but secondly, I needed the needle out. So I went there and I opened the door and she said, "Oh my," and she took the needle out with some pliers, wrapped me up, sent me on my way, and I went back home, and with my finger throbbing like you would not believe, I ended up finishing my very first free motion quilt with the lesson, never take your fingers too close to that needle because it will stay in there. But I have never felt such pain in my entire life.
Hi, my name is Betty Compron. I have a Quinique 15 from the Grace Company, and my horror story actually was my first quilt. I had spoken with many people, and one of them who had like the Cutie, so the kind that clipped on. Well, she had said to me, well, when you're doing it, all you do is you load it onto your machine, and then after you do the one pass, you just take it off, move it over, load it back on, and do it again. She didn't realize that I had the kind that rolled. My first quilt was one that I was doing for a friend of mine. She had pieced it, but wasn't doing the quilting part, asked me to do that for her. So I loaded it onto my quilting frame that I have, and it was about a foot or so wider than the maximum that I could do, but I thought, well, that's okay. Apparently I can just move it over later on and do the other part. So it got a bit awkward because the one side was folded over for that last little bit, and it got thicker as it rolled, of course, but it wasn't too bad, and I did okay. Well, then I loaded it on again. Well, now I've got, it's 6 layers of material now rather than only 3. And I thought I was fine, and away I went. Well, of course, initially it's okay because there's not much rolled onto the top, but as you keep on rolling it, it gets really thick at the one side and it starts to skew. So my nice square quilt, good tension for quilting on and everything else starts to skew forward so that it's sort of getting like this. This is the side I'm quilting. By the time I got to the end, I had a little point at the bottom here. That was the only point that was attached to the frame, and the rest was strung out at these strange angles, and I was semi-panicking and everything else, but I managed to get it all quilted. When I took it off, I wound up taking about 40 meters of quilting out in 40 different places. Some points I was just totally terrified and mortified that I had ruined my friend's quilt, but it worked out in the end. But I also had another quilt that I did just recently, but this is my 6th or 7th one now, so I'm kind of learning how to handle weird situations. And somehow, I don't know who distracted me, but I missed completing quilting on 2 of the squares, and I only realized it when I was about finished my binding, but that time I put it back on, and I just pinned it for the part that needed requilting, and I took my Quinique and away I went, and I quilted it, and you'd never know that I had missed some of my quilting. So anyways, those are my horror stories.
Oh man. Some serious horror stories.
Crazy. Seriously.
Again, I keep saying it, but I love to see that people are using them as a learning experience, right? Mm-hmm. My horror story, it scared me away. I stopped for a very long time, but you guys are persistent. You powered through. I loved it. Yeah. Okay, I think we've got one more horror story. I think 2 more. Mm-hmm. I want to share one that someone had submitted on our Facebook group, and then one in the comments, and good to go. So. Yeah, Maddie, do you want to read that one for us?
Yeah, I just learned a free motion after being a hand quilter since 1993. That's talent just right there. Mm-hmm. I bought a Cutie to use for my smaller projects right now. I have a Baby Lock Dream Quilter Series machine. The Cutie has been set up for a few weeks now, and I have read and watched everything possible. I cannot get the tension correct, and it's very disappointing.
Oh man, you know what? That just breaks my heart. I would highly recommend joining that Cutie Quilters Facebook group. Mm-hmm. A lot of them have those similar machines and can help and support you too. And as always, give us a call at our Grace Company technical support team, and we are so happy to help. Okay, I wanted to share Stacy's story, so let's get that one pulled up. Okay, so this is Stacy Sundgren. I tried to think of a quilting horror story. I had a lot of problems, mistakes, miss-ups, and rip-outs over the years. One story doesn't really top another. A lot of them are pretty bad. But I learned a lot of patience and how to figure out how to fix the issues. Also learned a lot of what not to do. Same. Step back, take a deep breath, work the problem.
I've never left a project unfinished due to a mess up I made. Sort of a silver lining to a horror story is working them out to have success. Oh, what a feel good. I love that, Stacy. And it's such a great support and just a reminder for all of us out there, because you know what, it's intimidating, right? Especially when we make a mistake. But just remembering that we can work through it. We can figure it out. Okay, so we've got one more video, and then we will have Mark and Jana from the sales team, our counselors, come and join us. So let's watch that final video submission.
Hello, I am Sarah Hockenbrock, and I want to share my most recent quilting horror story. I just finished working on Dear Jen, which is a Jen Kingwell quilt. I've spent a year working on it. I put it on an older wooden Hinterberg frame, if you know what that is, with a old Voyager 17 long arm, mid arm, whatever that is not mine. It's a friend of mine's, but it's in my basement. It's a very persnickety machine. You can do big loop-de-loops, but no micro work. But I'm glad to be able to quilt my own quilts with it. Anyway, I'm about 3/4 of the way done quilting it. And I put a new bobbin in. I heard it click and start again. Somehow the bobbin popped out. And everything got tangled up underneath. The machine would not move from that place. I couldn't get up in there. I finally had to climb up under, snip the threads, but in the process it tore a small piece in my backing. So I was able to fix the backing with some of that little fusible hem tape, stuffing another piece of backing up in there and whatnot. But that was heartbreaking to work a year on a quilt and to have a tear in the backing.
Welcome back, everyone.
Yes, it's good to be back around the campfire. It was warm earlier today, now it's cold today.
Yeah.
So it's great.
I am so excited for all the wonderful events that we had recently. We had all the great events were happening. We had those wonderful horror stories. Those were really scary, some of them.
That's right, I love the horror stories, especially around the campfire. That is the best. So I have a horror story I wanted to start off.
Okay.
Actually, it's not so much my horror story, it's my wife's.
I feel like I should grab my flashlight.
Yeah, ooh,
There you go.
yes. Well, it doesn't really work, but we'll do it. Okay, so this has been about probably 7 years ago.
Okay.
And we got our own unique 14 plus machine.
Okay.
When it was a 14 plus. And so it was my wife who got the machine. I got it for her. So I'm at work, right? I'm getting these text messages thinking, oh, she's loving it, right? And so, yeah, that's when it first started happening. These text messages weren't so happy.
Oh no.
So I get home and my wife is sitting on the couch unpicking almost the entire quilt she quilted with the machine. So the horror story for her was, that look she was giving me was, you're dead. I walked through the door thinking I was dead, a dead man. But the horror story was that she had to unpick the entire quilt because she didn't quite understand how the machine worked. You know, she was new to quilting pretty much. And so, yeah, needless to say, after we took care of her and had helped her understand the tension, then I felt like my life was not in danger anymore. But the horror story was for me thinking I was going to die, and for her it was the entire quilt being unpicked.
Unpicked at the same time.
I just had to share that because that's my horror story.
That's a terrible horror story. Unpicking is the worst. Because it doesn't matter how you're sewing it, whether it's through the piecing process or through the quilting process. Yeah, unpicking is not helpful, but.
That's right.
Yeah.
And all the cutting stories, and I saw the one with the rotary cutter.
Oh.
So many stories over the time that people use a rotary cutter and they nick their finger or they sew their needle into the finger. Oh, just so many of those.
Yeah, I saw a comment earlier. It said, I didn't know that quilting was such a bloody sport.
Right? That's so
exactly.
true. Very true. Well, okay. Do you have any horror stories?
I don't have any horror stories. I just got to hear lots of horror stories from people who've done more quilting. Yeah, live through vicariously. My horror stories are vicarious, yeah.
That's right. Okay, so we're till the end. Well, hopefully, and I'm curious, we had a lot of the counseling going on, right? Camp classes, people are attending. Let's see some comments on what class they had really enjoyed, from all the ones that we had playing.
And also, what did you learn new today that you hadn't learned, they didn't know before? So we had a lot of classes where new information was coming out. Maybe you hadn't tried that task before, but let's see what everybody is talking about. What did you learn today that's new?
That's right. Earlier in our checklist, we had that notepad and pen. So hopefully you're taking the notes in your classes so we can get some of these answers, because I'm curious to know what kind of classes stood out to you the most and what you really enjoyed.
One of the ones that I really liked was Lizzie Allen's ruler work, and watching just the confident way that she's using rulers. It makes me realize that if you just practice more, then you get the ability to learn as you're going, that it does take practice. You can't just imagine, oh, I know free motion, so ruler work is just going to be easy. It's like, it does take practice as well. Practice.
Well, that brings up the video that I liked. I liked the one that Carla and Devin did.
Oh yeah, that was a great one. The Echo Lake.
Echo, because watching Devin do his quilting, and tracing around the lines, and you can tell how I don't want to say uncomfortable he was at the beginning, but he was following the lines, but how nice those patterns became as he kept practicing, and more confident he came. And so that's just like what you said with the quilters, being confident and at the very beginning. So I like that one.
It looks like we've got lots of comments coming in.
The echoing.
Pantos are easier than I thought. Good, Denise. Yeah. It's amazing. Once you have someone showing you exactly what you need to do, it does get a little bit easier. It does.
And your confidence goes through the roof. Let's see some more.
Dip a toe in Echo Lake, Panto from the front of the machine. Can't wait to try it. That's so good. Loved free motion quilting and ruler work.
And that's just it. When you love to do it, just try it. Just jump in and start these quilting journeys.
And I think that's one thing about all the horror stories is I loved what Janessa said at the end was all the horror stories become your success stories at the end. Because even though it feels like a horror at the moment, eventually it leads you to the success of a wonderful quilt.
That's right. And then, let's see, Vicky learned so much. Thank you, especially the TrueCut system. We'll be checking that out. Yes, check all of the TrueCut product out, absolutely.
And where can you check that out? You can check it out online at graceframe.com. All our specials, all the products being used, all the Grace Company products that were used today, and all the different segments are on that website, and so you can check it all out.
That's right. We went over the specials earlier today. So keep in mind, we have the Cutie Frame, the Q-Zone Queen Frame, the Hoop Frame, the 21R, and the 15 Pro all on sale. So check those prices out. Yeah, the 21. I love that one because it's a long arm. A long arm at a price that you get for like almost a mid-arm.
Yeah.
A mid-arm machine at $47.99. That is fantastic. That is a camp sell if I've never seen one.
Well, and then I love about the 21R is that you're getting that full long arm experience, and you're getting the ability to have, 1,800 stitches per minute.
Yep.
So you're not gonna outstitch yourself.
That's right, so it's perfect. But yeah, so check out all of our sales online, especially the one that's been everybody's favorite is the Cutie, and at the price of $5.89, that is one that you can take camping. Speaking of camping, the Cutie, you wouldn't think taking quilting camping.
Yeah.
Like seriously, you wouldn't think that, but the Cutie allows you to do so. You can bring a table, if you have a generator, you can plug it in and do your quilting.
As long as you have power, you can quilt. Yeah.
Yes, that is amazing. And for $5.89, I don't know what's more amazing, that you can quilt in the woods, or you can buy a frame for $5.89. That is pretty awesome.
Which one's more fantastic?
That's
yeah.
right.
It looks like we've had some other comments of people enjoying different segments. It looks like Nancy says, I can't wait to watch the replays. So that's true, Nancy. All of the videos are available again to rewatch on the website. You can go into the watch again feature. You can also schedule all those events for tomorrow, and then you'll have them in your schedule to watch again.
That's right. I love all these comments. Well, Counselor Jana.
Yes, Counselor Mark.
What is there that we can do? I want to.
You want to give away.
I want to do a giveaway.
You want to do a giveaway.
We have all of our campers who went to class during the heat, listened, they made notes, they enjoyed.
Swatted the mosquitoes.
They swatted the mosquitoes, which they're gone, by the way, because it's nighttime.
Yeah.
So let's reward them. Let's reward all the campers who went to the classes, had fun, enjoyed, smiled, laughed. Let's reward them with some
fun giveaways.
Yes,
okay.
some fun giveaways.
So we are gonna have someone. Now we've got also on here. We've got some people have been asking about our fantastic camp shirts.
Yes. Very
right?
comfortable, by the way.
And if they're going to be a possibility to win as well. And so we will have a giveaway for a shirt.
Oh, fantastic.
So we're going to do that first. We have medium, large, and extra large only. So if you need a larger size like me, I'm sorry, I used it up. So if you would like a medium, large, or extra large, we're going to do that as a giveaway right now. So we're going to have our group. We're going to have the question I'd like to have answered. And this goes back to one of our segments we had earlier today. So I want to know, it's in the very first segment. It was pitching the Cutie with Melinda and Jarek.
Yep.
So get your thinking caps on for when you went back to that segment. So they talked about how big the Cutie footprint is. So how large of a table do you need? So if you remember how large they said, put your answer in the comments, and we'll pull a winner from Facebook, from YouTube, and then from the Grace platform as well.
That's a great question. Those 10-foot tables, that's pretty big. I mean, yes. Let's see if they've all paid attention. 4 feet. Okay, 4 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet.
Let's see which one they said.
They're coming in 2x4. I'm not talking about wood these days, 2x4. No, I'm just kidding. That's the table they're talking about, 2x4. 3.5, 4. Okay, so I think we're going to have our winner, which is...
Danae, congratulations from our Facebook site. That is correct. It's a 4-foot table. Some people were being a little bit specific with 2 feet by 4 feet, but a 4-foot table, that is correct. So if you will email melinda@graceframe.com and let her know which size you're wanting.
What size of shirt.
And again, it's limited, so hopefully we have the one that you need. And so now we're going to choose one from our YouTube platform. Jared, congratulations.
4 foot. I know Jared very well, so that's going to be good for him.
Okay, and then our last winner is going to be from our Grace platform. Thanks so much for watching us on all the different platforms. Again, you can always watch us on YouTube or Facebook or our Grace website, so you have all those different options. And Mary Williams, congratulations. So again, email melinda@graceframe.com for all those prizes. Then she can get you the size that you need.
Yes.
And then also she can get you your other prizes. Everybody write down her name because we want everybody to be a winner.
That's right. Now, before I want to, do you want to do?
Yeah, let's do another prize.
But before we do, I know there's a question that came up with the Cutie. So even though the Cutie can fit on a 4-foot frame, don't be fooled for what size of quilt you can do. You can do, there you go, yeah, Lisa. You can do a king, queen, California king, table runner. Really, there's no size too big or too small for the Cutie. That's what makes the Cutie so phenomenal, is you have a 4-foot frame that you can do any size of quilting, which is awesome. So
yeah,
I just wanted to ask you that question. Yep, doesn't limit you. Okay, so what other, I mean, I love these questions. Since I shared a scary moment, your scary moment for me is to come up with another question that we can come up with the spinner right here.
Okay, so earlier we talked about a specific item in our camping list that we wanted you to take pictures of. Now, I don't know how many people sent in their photos, but what was the item that we asked you to take pictures of from our camping checklist?
Love that.
Yeah. If people are remembering, I don't know. They're kind of thinking.
Yeah, let's see them
you can
come
run
through.
back the
Yeah, maybe we
videotape.
can yeah, run it back. Everybody's putting it back, rewinding. Should we give them a little hint? Oh, wait, we don't. No, they're coming
looks
through.
like they're coming through.
We don't need to give a hint. That's awesome. I just appreciate, I mean, you know, quilters, campers, you guys are so fun, so dedicated. It's nice that there was a question from the very beginning of our classes, and people are giving them the answers.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody who stayed with us the whole day and watched all the segments. And we appreciate too, I just love the Grace family of friends, because you guys, someone will ask a question. I've been watching in the comments, someone will ask a question, and if we don't get to the answer right away, you guys always jump in and answer and celebrate each other. You're always congratulating each other when you win. And so we just love being part of that, having you be a part of our Grace Company family.
Absolutely. All right. So Mary.
Congratulations.
Socks.
That
Okay.
is correct. All right. So let's do our spinning wheel to see what she's won.
That's right. We'll go over the prizes here real quick again. There were the ruler combo, the electric sharpener, the 8-pack finesse thread, the comfort cutter, and the straight cutter. So here we go. Let's see which one will be a winner. I'm going to try to hold this as flat as I can, and we're going to spin it. What is that?
The electric sharpener.
That has been a popular
fantastic.
one today.
It has, yeah.
So the electric sharpener. So congratulations on that. All right, let's get another winner.
Amy Westermeyer, congratulations.
Socks.
Yes, socks are correct. Your funky socks.
That's
yes.
right, the funky socks. Has any pictures come through too? Let's see, can they even post pictures on that?
I don't know.
That'd be awesome. All right, here we go.
It is our 8-pack of finesse thread. So that is 4 solid and 4 variegated. It's 150 yards, or I'm sorry, 1,500 yards, and 50 weight. It's polyester, yeah. But it has that matte finish. So it looks like cotton, it feels like cotton, but you have the strength of polyester. So that's gonna be a great, you get 4 solid and 4 variegated. It's gonna be really wonderful. Okay, and our last winner from our Grace site, Eileen, congratulations.
Okay, here we go. Oh,
electric sharpener again. Congratulations. So again, all the winners, please email Melinda at graceframe.com. Melinda's going to get you those prizes. You'll send her your prize, what you won, and then also your address so that she can get those sent out to you right away.
That's right. All right, okay. Counselor Jana, fun-filled day today. Tomorrow is going to be amazing.
There's so much. I can't believe how much we fit into one more day.
That's right. And it's kind of sad that this is coming to an end, you know, with all the classes, to be able to teach and learn, to grow from one another, to learn from experience. And it's almost coming to an end, which is very sad.
It's sad, but it's also great as we look forward to the next day. So stay with us for tomorrow. But before we get too sad, we've got one more giveaway.
Yep.
We've got our luminous light bar. It's gonna be any size
Yep.
that they pick, right? So
That means
whoever,
5 foot,
it can be 5
10 foot,
10,
and
12,
even the 12. Yes.
whichever size that this winner gets. Now, again, this is one of our pre-registration winners. You still have time to pre-register for tomorrow's gift or prize. It's the grand prize. It's the Camp Survival Kit. So you don't feel like you've missed out. You can still register for that. But this one has already been chosen so far. So we've got our luminous light bar winner.
That's right. Before we have a winner too, let's pull that up here real quick, if we can, with the image. The 5 foot or 10 foot, 12 foot, this is light bar that's LED. Has casters. So
Right, so you can move it
over
anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere you want. So you can take it over your campfire. You can take it over your cutie, your
cutting table, yeah.
Anything you want. These are LED lights, true light, and they have many, many hours that last through these lights. Very easy to assemble. And again, it's your 5, 10, or 12 foot luminous light bar. Very thin. It doesn't take up a lot of space and can go over any work area. And with the casters, you can move it to where you want it.
Well, and what I love too is that if you get a 10-foot light bar and you really need it as 8 foot, you can take one of the lights out and have it as an 8 foot instead of just as the 10 foot. So it's very versatile.
That's right. That's a $700 value that we are right now about to give away to the registrant of, do we have a drum roll? And it's coming.
Big drum roll, big drum roll.
Around the campfire too,
That's
so
right.
it's nice and warm right now.
It's in the banners. Yeah, it's in the banners. I put it in the banners.
All right. So the drum was going to stop for a little bit here until we get that name pulled up.
It should say luminous light bar.
And we
are you in the
getting
summer camp? Yeah. That's okay.
right. We will be getting
We
this.
apologize for our technical difficulty. Anita,
Well, there it is,
congratulations.
Anita. Luminous light bar for Anita. So we already have your information on that.
We have, Anita, we have your information, but we need to know what size you need. So email melinda@graceframe.com.
Okay. So
we're gonna do the end of the day.
When we go to, who's ever been to camp of any kind of sort? It's sad when it's over. You gotta, get back to your work life, but you always want to end camp on a good note, right?
Exactly.
And so, the counselor and I,
Counselor Jana, yes.
Yep, we are going to
have a camp cheer.
Yes.
And we have some of our other camp counselors who are going to come help us.
Yes, we're going to invite them in. There
Bring
they come.
them on in.
Yes.
Welcome, Devin and Maddie.
We're going to move the camera. Yep, squat down here.
Okay. And Courtney's joined us.
Counselors, how y'all doing?
Great.
Everybody enjoyed today?
Sure did.
Nice.
Okay, so we're gonna start our camp cheer, and I'm gonna start it, and then we're gonna have everybody echo. So if you're there with us and want to participate, please do.
Yeah.
Okay. So our quilters camp.
Our quilters camp
isn't over yet.
Isn't over yet.
Come back for more.
Come back for more.
Please don't forget.
Please don't forget.
We'll make you laugh.
We'll make you laugh.
We'll teach skills too.
We'll teach skills too.
That's why we made.
That's why we made
Summer Camp Day 2.
Summer Camp Day 2.
So come back with us tomorrow for Summer Camp Day 2. Thank you so much for joining us.
See ya.
See ya.